Hey everyone, we're back. I'm here today with Magog of Morskar and Free Press of Kekistan, and we're just going to have some fun hanging out and talk about whatever is whatever comes to mind, right?
Yeah, it's
So,
an
how you doing, guys?
good. It's an improv stream.
Yep, no script, no nothing, no subject, just having fun. So, not too serious. What have you been up to?
Fucking school and shit. And I'm not fucking doing the voice. I'm fucking been sick all week.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna get like, oh,
you got to get in full costume and all that for doing
right.
that.
Probably gonna get a lot of people in the chat are like, who the fuck is this guy? I'm the dumb wizard on YouTube. Okay, that's all you gotta.
Yeah. I'm sure most people probably heard of you now. You're fucking taking off, man.
Yeah. It's been a good ride so far, you know.
And so if you haven't, go check out Magog of Morskar and go check out Free Press of Kekistan. Free Kek. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I was going to say, like, you could check out specifically the collab we all did together.
Yeah. That was awesome. You should definitely check out that. I have part 2 on my channel, and the other one is obviously on your channel. And also, Free Press is the awesome artist that drew the map of the ancient kingdom of Kekistan.
Yes, that you can find on the Undoomed store.
Yep.
Yeah, we did an episode of a song of cringe and ire, and honestly, I have been getting countless comments and tweets on when the next one's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not going to lie. I mean, people thought that MythCon would have been a great way to parody in an episode 3, and maybe we should start getting to work on that.
The problem is there wasn't really any SJWs there except for that Thomas guy, right?
Right, the big argument on stage with Sargon, and that was, a debate that, like, right out the gate was just like, this guy's going to just choose probably the worst conceived thing that Sargon has done and just shit hammer him for 30 minutes.
Yeah, except he couldn't.
Yeah.
Except he was just demolished.
Yeah, exactly. But it was still so cringy because, like, you finally get on stage with somebody who is your ideological opposite, and you're supposed to have a good debate, and you're sitting on these comfortable couches, and the first thing you break up is the "I wouldn't even rape you" tweet.
Yeah, you're talking about Twitter, asshole. You're doing it wrong.
Like I don't even think Sargon would have had to really argue an intellectual reasoning behind why he did that. It's fucking Twitter. Everybody shit posts on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's all Sargon should have said. Why'd you say that to the MP of whatever have you? Sargon should have just been like, it's fucking Twitter, bro. Like, everybody's an asshole on Twitter. What do you want from me?
Exactly. I mean, don't make it more complicated than it is.
Yeah. I mean, I get that people don't like him,
Sure, you can dislike anyone. That's fine.
Yeah, but at least dislike him for any kind of like real, true, argumentative, intellectual ideas, and not just some fucking stupid shit they posted on Twitter now and again. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just unbelievable.
And how long do you think Twitter's actually going to last? I mean, their stock prices are plummeted. Disney decided they put their fucking company up to buy, and even Disney was like, nah. and Disney buys everything, like.
When was that? That rings sort of a vague bell. When was that?
That was like last year, wasn't it? Or it was like around last year, I think. I was I could be mistaken on that, but I do definitely remember that it happened, because I remember thinking to myself,
it sounds familiar, right? Like Disney, like, yeah, let's buy everything except Twitter.
Right? Disney even finally got around to buying the rights to Star Wars and the fucking Lucas, company and everything. But they turn around and it's like Twitter, nah. And I think Twitter is also one of those companies that like really overprices themselves when they come to sell. Like, here you are, your stocks are only like $16 a share, but you think you're worth $5 billion.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
And they're just plummeting. Like,
right.
It's a slow kamikaze dive towards being wiped out.
Oh, look at Ash is drawing you over there. Ah, damn it, I used your real name. Sorry, bro.
It's all right.
Oh. Let's
very good one.
Let's screen share that. Holy shit.
Yeah. There we go.
Because Free Press, he's like an amazing artist, and just look at him go. Jesus.
Yeah. This is what we do. Like, we get Free Press on, you know.
Oh yeah, you can tell him about the super chat idea, I guess.
Oh yeah. If anybody has any requests, if anybody wants to see Free Press and Kekistan draw something particular, you can super chat the idea. Raise a little money for Undoomed to do his Undoomed thing. I think I like to call it the Undoomed Whiskey Fund.
That's a good name.
It's a good name. and you guys can sit here and watch Free Press Kekistan draw the what you guys want to see, and possibly if he finishes it, he'll send it to you or something.
Right. So I just got to see here. Is any chat? Are you seeing this right now? Am I screen sharing properly or what?
Yeah, I'm seeing it on the watch link. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you're good, man.
Good.
So before the stream started, we were talking about incredible ideological driven plot narratives in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I brought that up because I just finished watching, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 4 because I want to see what they were going to do.
Was that the final season or what?
That was definitely the last season. It kind of happened during and around the election.
Right. So they're not doing more episodes.
They are. Season 5, I think, is coming out.
They
in
are.
December.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming out in December. So I've caught up to the point of where everybody is right now because season 5 isn't out yet. And but I was watching this because I wanted to see what they do with Ghost Rider because I really wanted to see how they did with Ghost Rider. And actually, with Ghost Rider, they did a fantastic job. But they couldn't help themselves. They couldn't help putting these little ham-fisted, little fucking political fucking remarks in their fucking plot. And it's with all kinds of shows, not just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm just using that as an example. It's like nowadays you can't watch a television series or anything without some sort of Trump hysteria or some sort of political ideology narrative being pushed in some form or another.
Yeah.
We were talking about this. Not even a big Trump fan. I already said to you, Undoomed, and I'm going to repeat it here live. I don't even call Trump. I call him not Hillary.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he is.
I know that there could have possibly been a much better person for that fucking job. I know that. But God damn it, I am so sick and tired of this fucking hysteria. Like we're living under some sort of Nazi fucking regime, and there are people getting rounded up in the streets, and there's fucking, surveillance everywhere and Gestapo and like these people, that's how they see this fucking world because their candidate lost. Are you kidding me?
It's unbelievable. Like just the hyperbole is going. Come on.
It's heavy. It's heavy. And it's
apart from that, just leave it alone. You ever heard of escapism? Like, just want to fucking sit down and watch something cool and maybe some shit blow up and.
Right. Yeah. I don't get why they have to fucking put this goddamn shit in all the fucking media.
I know SJWs say that everything is politics, but no, it's not, asshole.
No.
I don't want to see fucking politics in my goddamn superhero movies.
It's like, could you imagine like watching a porn?
Yeah.
And like right in the middle of fucking, the lady like turns to the camera and she's like about to orgasm and she just turns to the camera and goes, illegal immigration is a terrible thing. Talk about how to lose a boner in 20 seconds. You're seeing this bitch get fucked or, 3 ways till fucking Sunday. And then all of a sudden she turns and she's like, black people are oppressed, by the way. You know. That would kill it for me. I'm sorry.
You think? Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't have said that. It'll happen now.
Yeah. God damn it. Well, we all know
porn is ruined.
Yeah. We at least won't see it come from Mercedes Carrera because she's on our side. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You can watch all the ass fucking you want over on Mercedes Carrera's fucking channel. She.
Well, not on YouTube, I guess.
No, not on YouTube, but she definitely is like anti-PC culture. Like that's why people follow her on Twitter more than her sex stuff, honestly. Like sometimes you go to her fucking Twitter and she's just straight up just spouting off about how some dumb feminist is, you know, like trying to take away the power of women and their sexuality by being feminist, you know. And I love that.
Right.
And it's I noticed that in the chat too. You know, Jason brought up watch football for escape. You know, like that's another thing too. Like to me, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people in America who are just like that's unpatriotic, and you know, and blah blah blah, and they're burning their team T-shirts and shit because of the kneeling during the national anthem. I get their argument. I don't think football players should be punished for expressing their views. However, to me, that's not the argument. I think they have every right to do what they did. Whether or not I want to watch it on football, I don't watch football for political commentary.
Right.
I watch football to watch people fucking bash their own, you know, fucking skulls in. That's what I do, you know. And so what the networks have been doing is, and I noticed this on a Sunday, last Sunday, was the football games will come on regular television or whatever, and they've started to not air the national anthem part.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah. They've started to just play commercials.
I don't really follow football, but okay.
Yeah. They've cut it out from the beginnings on a lot of the networks because they know they can't really punish people for expressing, you know, their rights to free speech and everything. That door swings both ways. However, the NFL also knows that it's pissing off a shit ton of their fans.
Yeah. I mean, what do they hope to gain here? It's not like they're going to get more viewers or subscribers or whatever the fuck they count, but
well, in fact, they've actually lost. I mean, according to the last statistic I read anyway, and this one could be kind of old, so there might be a new one already, but the last one I read, their ticket sales and fucking ratings have dropped like fucking 30%. Like it's hardcore. I mean, you know,
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Like, remember the good old days when corporations just wanted to make money?
Yeah,
those were the good old days.
You know, I knew their greed and corruption, and I still participated.
I mean, you can trust greed. Greed is good.
Yeah, at least it's something I can fucking fight. It's something I can see. You know,
you can understand it. You know the motivation, and there's clear cut things that objectives and shit like that. Like, I don't understand when corporations try to control your life. What is the long game here? I'm missing something.
I think they're trying to turn it into some sort of dystopian, futuristic, you know, fucking movie where corporations have control over everything instead of governments or something. And I think the best way to do that is to get into the ideological game and play the identity politics and the political correctness game, because that allows them to get people that they support and who support their decisions into the door, into future politics. You know, they're playing the long game, in my opinion.
Right.
But they're playing the long game.
It's not like we need more corporatists.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for free market within a reasonable amount of regulation, obviously.
I would love to have a free market that actually tries to make money instead of controlling our lives.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting a little ridiculous to where, like, even people like the new Apple diversity, whatever have you, came out and was like, I don't really care if you're white or black or anything. The diversity comes from life experience. And every SJW on Twitter just went, you know?
Oh my God, that was fucking pathetic.
It's gotten to a point where you can get fired from your fucking job for writing a memo about how maybe biology plays a part.
Oh yeah,
Just maybe.
But
And everybody,
I mean, that obviously he was just some foot soldier, and obviously they were gonna fire him. But this diversity officer at Apple, like she's black and she's a vice president, and she still couldn't say a fucking normal thing that any normal person would agree with.
right? Yeah. I mean, even though if you go to her Twitter, she's still pretty radical in her like feminist ideology and stuff. She's at least sounds like somebody you can at least talk to about it. She's not so raving mad.
Yeah,
But you know,
but that's not good enough. You got to be like stark raving mad.
right. Like it's nowadays, it's like you have to be a lunatic with your political ideology. You can't just be center. People in the center are just confused or something. I find it funny because I constantly on my channel and in my videos and in this side of YouTube, I rail against the gender issues and the non-binary thing. But in politics, anybody slightly right of Jane Fonda is considered like basically non-binary politic. Like people in the center, libertarians and centrists and stuff are like the non-binary genders. We're like,
right. Oh, we got a super chat. Reaper 4131 punched lasagna. I don't know. Does that mean anything to you?
I really, you know what? That's probably a secret code to get into the next. It's the catchphrase to get into the next patriarchy meeting. Undoomed. That's what it is. Punched. Yeah, remember it for next for Saturday, because in order to go to the patriarchy meeting and benefit from this white supremacist capitalistic patriarchy we live in, we have to have meetings.
Oh yeah, and we do all the time.
Right. All the time in the middle of the night. Day. Women, of course, aren't invited, and because they're not going to understand that word either, because they spend way too much time in the kitchen cooking lasagna. They would be angry if we punched it. It's just, it doesn't even. There's not a concept there for them to understand, and that's why it's the secret password.
It's a dog whistle.
Yeah, because they would never think of punched lasagna, because that's stupid. She would spend all day slaving over that lasagna just to have her husband punch it. Makes no sense.
No, it literally doesn't. Oh, okay, but then we have the secret password. That's good.
Right. We have the secret password. So thanks for the update for that secret password there to the patriarchy meeting.
Yep. Thank you, Reaper.
Yep.
Now we know.
Now we know. Yeah. And that kind of, what that little joke I did. I mean, that brings up another thing. Comedy is dying.
Yeah. Have you seen how many people call themselves comedians? It's like, Jesus Christ, dude, you're not funny.
Like, I don't understand why some people think some things are funny just because it's politically correct. Like, I noticed.
I don't think anyone does. It's just that they call themselves comedians.
Yeah. That's one of the things I hate. That's our word. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're not funny. It's just, they just call themselves comedians, and they expect to be given sort of James Carlin kind of creds status, or something.
Yeah. Fucking George Carlin was like one of the greats. Fucking Richard Pryor. I mean, those days are kind of gone. In those days, they were fighting PC culture because it was from the government. It was like, you can't say those words on television. You can't say that. You can't say that on television. You can't say that on the radio. And they were railing against that. George Carlin got arrested plenty of times for saying bad words on television and shit like that,
Of course.
And now it's like flipped, but instead of the political correctness coming from the government, it's coming from the radical left mostly. Don't get me wrong, there's still an element of the religious right that exists that doesn't like it either. But they're not the ones with a stranglehold on media.
No, and it's weird because I don't really like the horseshoe theory, but like, what the hell? They're really starting to meet in the middle there. I don't like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's very, very strange. It's essentially, I like to call it the Inquisition paradigm. It doesn't
Right.
matter what side you're on. Yeah, it doesn't matter what side you're on. If you become any kind of radical extremist on either side, as soon as you hit that end of the spectrum, you become the Grand Inquisitor trying to find the witches.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So super chat, Bob Empire says, this is the first time I've ever done this.
Yay. Popped his
Yay.
Was it good for
thank you, Bob. Thank you. That is, I appreciate it.
Cherry popped. That's right. Was it good?
Cherry popped.
Was it good for you?
Well,
your $2 is appreciated. You're a cheap whore. This is the quality content you get on the Undoomed Live channel, everybody. So don't forget to subscribe to the.
Oh yeah, this is highbrow.
What, you know, look at Free Press over there drawing me, Magog, in all my wizard glory, and it looks like I have like a crippled retard hand.
It looks like it. You got Oregon in there, or Omegon.
A little Omegon in there, yeah, because he hasn't 100% finished the face yet. Looking good there, bud. Looking good.
Does look a bit like a tentacle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like you should draw some more tentacles on his face there, and you can send it to Omegon.
He always gets pissed when you mispronounce his name. I love it.
I know. I do it because I care. That's the way it is. I love Omegon.
Yep, yeah.
Oregon.
Omegon. He's the only YouTuber I found that is besides Geek Thulu that's trying to do like this H.P. Lovecraft theme. You know.
I don't know who the other guy is.
Well, Geek Thulu definitely is, but Omegon.
I don't know who that is.
He's one of the YouTubers that kind of hangs out with Failure and stuff. Comes on the Cult of Cactus all the time. You know?
Okay.
If nobody's heard of Failure Accomplished, go and visit.
No. Obviously I know him. He's a great guy. But I don't know that other guy. Never talked to him. So okay.
Yeah. Pretty small channel. I mean, he doesn't really get around on a lot of the live streams, but he'll pop on the cunt stream or he'll pop on Failures. Right.
Okay. Well, I just thought that he was kind of like the only one who's doing that Cthulhu thing. Oregon, obviously.
Yeah, there's a few others, but I don't think anybody does it as as much of an entertaining way as Omegon does, because he's got his own kind of like it's based on Lovecraft, but it's still kind of his own thing. He's wearing that fucking onesie, you know, like his avatar's wearing that fucking Cookie Monster onesie. You know?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Garbage Human says, why hasn't Magog said anything? I'm just going to go out on a limb right here, everybody. And this is not on my channel, and I am not in character because I've been sick all week and I'm afraid to blow my voice out. So, you know, it's really hard to do the for the love of God for like hours straight. Okay. I'm just not doing it tonight.
Yeah. His doctor told him.
Yeah.
Voice doctor, like singers have.
Despicable Meme says, who is doing the painting on Doomed? And that is our buddy Free Press of Kekistan. Everybody go subscribe to Free Press of Kekistan. Really awesome stuff. Parody songs, really funny things, little shows, a little parody of the Young Turks called the Young Keks. It's really funny shit.
Yeah. Everyone go subscribe to Free Press of Kekistan right now.
Yep.
Do it.
Yes, Magog.
Do it. And,
do it right now.
We have all worked together. Since you're gaining a few more watchers, we'll go ahead and reiterate this. We've all worked together on something called A Song of Cringe and Ire. So if you're an Undoomed fan, you probably saw the episode 2 on his channel, and that was all of us together, Magog and Undoomed, narrating while Free Press Kekistan put together the artwork for that video. And it's kind of a parody on Game of Thrones that takes all this stuff happening in the anti-SJW kind of counterculture movement on YouTube, people like Sargon and stuff, and facing him off with Steve Shives and Anita Sarkeesian in a very fantasy kind of story, and it's really funny.
Yeah. I hope we can do something more with that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get down on some episode 3. But I've honestly been waiting for something a little bigger to happen, you know, to parody. right now it's actually been fairly quiet. Do you think we're winning the battle on YouTube?
Well, I mean, the thing is, we might be winning the argument, but we're certainly not winning YouTube as a platform.
That's true. That is true, because they maybe not YouTube itself, but definitely like the online community. There does seem to be less of these like SJW types making videos, except for the big hardcore ones.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the argument has kind of died down. There are less people making really crazy videos, but YouTube itself has ramped up its war against us. So there's that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've recently went through another bout of demonetization. SideQuest, my live show on Monday nights with Beard Bearing and Vamp Candy, got demonetized before we even started the fucking thing. I had it scheduled. Yeah, I had it scheduled like Sunday night, and by Monday afternoon it was already demonetized. I hadn't even said anything yet. It hadn't even launched.
I know that can happen. It's like, what? Do you have like the DeLorean? You can go into the future and see what I'm going to say.
It's Minority Report.
Right? It's like they automatically assume we're going to be fucking assholes and curse a lot and talk shit. And, well, they're right. But that's no reason to demonetize something before we say anything. That's like thought policing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, just swearing is not a crime.
It is on YouTube. It's naughty. It's naughty.
Yeah, but, you know, that's why people move to fucking Netflix and HBO and shit, because they wanted to hear some real language, right?
Yeah, it's an adult thing, you know?
You know, people don't really like the whole, what do you call it? Just normal television shit.
Yeah, and even they're getting lighter. That's what's so weird. The internet's getting stricter, where the regular television, well, at least like I'm watching some of these newer shows on like Fox and stuff,
right?
And they still say ass, and you know, like they'll still show some pretty steamy love scenes. Sure, it doesn't show nudity, but at least they're getting they're laxing up the you know, on some of the regular television. And we get on YouTube, and you know. Well, what am I supposed to say? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? A video on somebody, and fucking Steve Shives comes on and he says something stupid. It's supposed to come back to me. I'm gonna be like, oh well, you know, pumpernickel. You know, like, what am I? I'm sorry that my reaction to stupidity is a lot of cursing.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could do a channel like that, but that would be kind of like Sir Richard Attenborough reacting to animals.
Right.
You know, all in the natural habitat.
Yeah. My God, man. You know. But I don't get. I really don't get the you know, this new kind of push to control their platforms in such a way that just pushes their ideology. If you've ever been to the trending tab on YouTube, you know how cancerous it is.
Yeah, I never even pressed that thing.
Like, it is so horrible. Like, something.
Well, we all know that, so I never actually go there. I think don't think I've pressed it for 2 years.
Right? Yeah, it's you know, I go there just to see, and most of the time it's literally like Jimmy Fallon and like makeup channels and like shit like there's some things on that are on the trending tab that have like 6,000 views. How the fuck are you trending with less views than me? And I'm a pretty small channel.
I mean, that would, if that happened within 1 second, that would be kind of, okay, maybe that's trending, but that's not what it is.
Yeah.
Because most big channels will get that in a second.
Yeah.
Right? If you have 1 million subscribers or something and you upload something, you'll have 6,000 views in a second.
Yeah, I saw a video on the trending tab. I thought about doing an episode on it, and I downloaded it, so I might get around to doing it. But it was one of these makeup channels where this crazy woman is trying out these squiggly eyebrows thing that seems to be like popular on Instagram or something. And she's got 8 million subscribers. Her videos, the audio quality is shit. She's sitting on her living room floor in what looks like a double wide. She's got fucking teeth. I mean, God, she looks like she can eat an apple through a fence. You know,
what the fuck does that even mean?
like you know, just this woman looks like a cracked out meth head.
Oh, okay.
She has 8 million fucking subs, and she's fucking doing her squiggly eyebrows on her living room floor, getting 700,000.
What the fuck is that squiggly eyebrow? Isn't that like a fucking fake meme? Like someone photoshopped some shit?
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like somebody just took the smudge tool in Photoshop and just moved their eyebrows into a squiggly fucking position. But apparently now people are trying to actually do it to their faces. They're trying to turn their eyebrows into squiggly fucking lines or something, you know. And
I remember when that was a thing, because that was some famous person did that or something, right?
Yeah, and that's how this all starts.
Put the fucking liquefy tool and Photoshop on it, and they made their eyebrows squiggly, and I was like, oh, look at this. And it was, you know, all the fucking whores in the media were reporting on it.
Yeah,
and people like, oh, you have to do this in reality. No, you don't. It's fucking liquefy tool in Photoshop, asshole.
Right. I wish I was that kind of trendsetter, that I could just be so famous that I could just do something stupid at the club one night and somebody catches it on camera. And instead of being embarrassed, I just start a fad and people start doing it. And I would not let that power go to waste. I would try to convince all the idiots of the world to like choke to death on a fucking yo-yo or something. Like, strings hanging out of their mouth. They try to yo-yo into their fucking mouth, break their fucking teeth off.
I would love yo-yoing. I would love to convince someone that you can yo-yo with hanging it off your teeth.
Right. Or lay down
and film it. Please film it.
Film it. Lay down on the ground, open your mouth, and let a friend stand above you with a yo-yo and see how close you can get the yo-yo to their fucking teeth. That should be a trending thing. It's the new it's the new ice water challenge. God damn it! Everybody do it.
Yeah, or catch a bowling ball with your teeth.
Yeah, right.
In that position, just stand over and drop it onto that person's teeth.
Oh, that I don't know why, but every time somebody brings up bowling ball, I instantly think of The Big Lebowski. That fucking part where that guy pulls out that bowling ball and he's like, "What the hell is this?" And Big Lebowski's like, obviously you're not a golfer. Look, where's the money, Lebowski? I think it's down there somewhere. Let me check again.
Oh, that's priceless.
Oh, yeah.
I've forgotten about that.
Oh, yeah, a great fucking movie. We were just talking about that. That's the only reason it popped in my head. I was just talking about that with Free Press the other night.
Yeah.
Because he had The Big Lebowski on his Netflix, because it's a different Netflix over there because he's in England.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he has like a wholly different like television and movies selection than I do. We were like comparing our Netflix, and it's like, oh man, you got all these great movies. I'm over here watching SJW tard shit, you know?
Oh, they have less censorship?
No, they just have different regional things they offer in different regions. Like over here on Netflix, we might have a certain movies, and then over there on Netflix, they'll have different ones because it's a regional thing. Mm-hmm. So they offer them in like different countries have different selections.
Right.
And he had a Big Lebowski. I couldn't find that on my Netflix. Shit.
That's weird because that's an American movie.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all about what the rights Netflix has for whatever region at the time. Like they're constantly updating their contracts.
Please get over that shit. That is so fucking annoying.
Well, that's just the movie companies, honestly. That's the production companies.
Yeah, I know, but do you want to make money or not? Like,
right.
Just get fucked. Just get all the fucking rights to every fucking country, and then collect the fucking revenue. What's the problem?
Yeah, I don't get why they have to constantly go through these contracts and stuff. If I was the CEO of a movie production company that owned the rights to all these movies, and Netflix walked into my office, I'd just be like, just take everything in our library.
Yeah. Just pay for it though, but you know.
Yeah, obviously, but we ain't gonna be doing this like renew the contract every 3 months bullshit. Just take the shit, you know. Well, make me money.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Sure, they can renegotiate and all that, but you know, just make sure that you sell to the entire fucking world. Why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, most movies make more money in China than they do in the U.S. anyhow.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the entertainment industry is solely owned by Hollywood. I mean, very few countries have anything that even comes close to the level of that Hollywood has influence over the world and stuff. And so they obviously are trying to keep all that kind of money in house,
No,
You
they're
know?
trying to do some, I don't know, that well, maybe they're trying to do it, but they're fucking it up because obviously if you don't sell anything, you're not going to get money.
Right. Well, I don't get it either. I mean, honestly, and what are you going to do? I mean, that's why a lot of these online companies, though, are starting to do very well with their own original content, like Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix are doing their own original content, and some of it's really good. It's quality stuff, and I think that's going to kick Hollywood's ass one of these days. They did not get into the online game.
Yeah, they're kind of like the music industry.
Yeah, they stuck to their guns in the old way of doing things. They did not want to embrace this new media, and boy, that was their fuck up.
What is that MP3 thing? That's like some fucked up shit. Oh, fuck that. We're going to sell CDs, man.
Yep. Yeah, that's fucking backfired. I remember being able to walk into stores, and there would just be rows and rows of CDs. Now you walk into a store, and there's like one aisle.
Remember Tower Records?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Ever heard of them now? No.
It's kind of like I see it kind of akin to Blockbuster Video. You remember them when they were like, "Nah, VHS isn't going away."
Yeah.
Sure, man.
Yeah, you're retarded.
Like they were like, "No, we're going to just continue doing the VHS thing." And now where are they?
Yeah, they're, I don't know, down the drain.
Well, a lot of those stores are anyway. I mean, even if Blockbuster.
What was the other one? Like you had Tower Records, and then you had the other one, the big super mega store with the CDs. What was that called?
Shit, I don't know. Around here, we had Hastings and Best Buy and stuff like that.
Best Buy, right? Are they out of business? I can't remember.
Close to it. Circuit City definitely is. I remember when Circuit City was
Circuit City. They're definitely out of business.
Yeah, they were the big competitor for Best Buy, and they just went under. Yeah. They're fucking gone, man. But a lot of those stores are because Amazon and Netflix and like this online media and being able to just stream a movie after renting it instantly without having to drive to the store and look through aisles and stuff. Like it's killing all of that business and like ordering stuff online.
As it should, because it's obviously a much better business model.
It is. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is something nostalgic about showing up at Blockbuster at 10 o'clock at night wearing your fucking fuzzy bunny slippers and your pajama pants going, well, I want a movie, but those days are gone, man.
Those are gone.
I don't even have to leave my fucking house. It was kind of like when pizza started delivering. That changed the game altogether.
Oh, yeah. I used to have like a Blockbuster just fucking next door. And I used to come home like all drunk and shit from being drinking, whatever, and always went by the fucking Blockbuster and got Outland. It was like a fucking drunk fetish for me. Always wanted to watch Outland when I was drunk. That was just my thing when I was a kid.
Yeah. Everybody has those. Everybody has those moments in time where you can't really get them back, Yeah. And some of it's like even beyond my generation. I remember one of my first cars I ever bought was a 1976 Chevy Monte Carlo, all original, 30,000 original miles, garage kept by some old lady since she bought it on the showroom floor. Still had the 8-track player in it. So instead of ripping the 8-track player out and putting in a CD player because it was modern times, I could have put subwoofers in the trunk and all this and that. I didn't. You know what I did? I went to flea markets and bought 8-tracks. Because I thought it was fucking cool, man. I was like, fuck yeah, a working 8-track player.
Oh, man. I have never even had that. That's even before my time.
I know, right? I mean, the 8-tracks, to be fair, 8-tracks also didn't really even last that long. it was barely a decade, and they were gone because cassettes came in. You
Yeah. What was the point of 8 tracks anyhow? Were they like better than cassettes or what?
They were no, well, cassettes evolved into them because 8 tracks were nothing more than a one-sided tape. Like
Okay, but why were they called 8 tracks?
Because it only held 8 tracks.
Oh, I thought it was like 8 like audio tracks.
Yeah,
like they had like 8.1.
pretty much. I mean, that's exactly why they're called that. They could only hold a certain amount of
No.
data.
I mean like 8.1. Like 8 separate channels at once, like surround.
No. It only held, it only held like a certain amount of data on the magnetic tape.
Yeah.
Let me look it up because I could be wrong. Because, like I said, it's even beyond my generation. Formerly they were called Stereo 8, commonly known as an 8-track cartridge, 8-track tape, or simply 8-track. Is a magnetic tape sound recording technology that was popular in the United States from the 60s to the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And then the compact cassette format took over. Why are they called that? Let's find out why they're called that. The endless loop cartridge was first designed in 1952. Oh, that's interesting. No. Huh. But yeah, like I remember getting that car because I loved anything classic when I was a teenager. I don't know why. I was just drawn to it. Classic rock, classic cars, muscle cars from the 60s, 70s and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up in the South, and that was a big part of our culture down here, is to buy an old car and fix her up and turn her into a hot rod, type of thing.
Right.
And that was just the way it is, like, is it magnetic? It's not telling us why it's called that. It's just saying that's just what they called it.
I guess.
Why are 8-track tapes called 8 tracks when they only have 4 tracks?
Oh, they have 4 tracks.
No, what? they had 8, 4 per side. So, speaker left and speaker right. Get out your old Ozzy Osbourne Crazy Train 8-track and go sit in your pickup and crank the beginning. Awesome. I love the comments on some of this shit. They're about 4 times larger than cassettes, and they can play more than 8 songs. The term 8-track refers to 4 separate stereo or 2 channels on the same length of tape, as opposed to cassettes, which have 1 stereo channel on single tape. So basically, because it's a wider magnetic tape, they could actually separate the sound into 4 different tracks.
Okay, so what I said there was right.
Right. Yeah. So you were right. I was confused.
It is kind of like an 8.1 then.
I was wrong. Yeah. But then again, I like, once again, it's a technology I didn't really know much about. I just ended up.
Yeah, that was before my time. It's interesting though that they had 8.1 and then they just said fuck it for like 30 years.
Well, no, that what they ended up doing was, instead of having each track as a layer on the magnetic strip, they just were able to mix the sound in studio to stereo and then put it on a thinner strip of tape, which is where the cassettes came from.
Oh, wait, you're saying that they had like 8 tracks on the same strip? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's why they were so much bigger. It's because they were
so they didn't actually play those at the same time.
No, they did, but it was like there was a strip of data for the left speaker, and then there was a strip of data for the right door speaker, and then there was a strip of data for the back left speaker.
Yeah, okay. Well, then I was right. Okay.
Right. But then newer technology came out.
Yeah, but the newer technology was worse then, because it was only stereo.
Yeah, but stereo, it's because it mixes down. You can still change the digital data to make it to where, like, one guitar riff comes out the left speaker and the other one, and the drums come out.
If I understand it correctly, the 8-track had like, okay, I wanted to come out the back door speaker or something.
Right.
So that's much more like surround sound.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's just telling the radio to play all the tracks at once instead of having it mixed down in studio and just have the song on a fucking tape.
Oh,
you know,
they were advanced in the '60s. They went to the moon and shit.
Yes. But they also didn't have, cell phones and internet. So fuck them.
Yeah, and SJWs.
Yeah, that's the way I'm reading it on this website. Now, once again, I could be fucking wrong because it's not really my technology. I didn't grow up with this shit. The only reason I had an 8-track player was because I bought an old car. So I apologize to anybody watching if I got this fucking wrong, but that's just what I was reading off of this fucking message board when I typed it in Google. I asked why 8-tracks are called 8-tracks. So,
it's not important.
Not really. They were sturdy as fuck, though. The 8-tracks, man. They were like completely enclosed, plastic case. You could fucking stomp on them with your boot.
Kind of like software back then. Like those cartridges.
Yeah. Remember floppy disks?
Yeah.
Fucking things, man. It's like, how did that hold any data? I can remember that too. Like, I have a thumb drive right here that I got off the fucking Wish app. Sure, it's made in China. It's cheap. It holds basic data, but it's 2 terabytes. I can remember being in high school buying my first thumb drive was 2 megabytes. Not 2 terabytes, 2 megabytes. I could put like 3 homework assignments.
Yeah, I mean, a floppy, I think that was like 180 kilobytes or something.
Oh, yeah. It was like, fuck, little. Like, what can you put on that? Like, that's why when you bought a game on like the old DOS and it came with floppies, it was like 10 of them.
Yep.
It was like you get to a certain part of the game and it was just like, please insert floppy disk number 6. And you know what? They were never in order. They were never fucking in order. It's like you had 6 floppy disks numbered 1 through 6 for this game. You'd pop in the first one and it would install, and then it'd tell you to put in number 3. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, you always had to put number 1 in all the time too, just in between.
Yeah, it was like, please reinsert number 1. Why?
Yeah, you just had that one, fuckhead. Someone's asking me what was my first car. That was actually a Mazda.
You got a fucking Ricer, really? Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't afford anything else.
Well, yeah. One of my first truck was a Mitsubishi, but technically they're
built in Ricer Georgia too.
No, technically they're built in Georgia, so I guess.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they were an offset of. Was it Ford owned them? Was it Ford? Is it Mitsubishi that owned? Yeah, because they had the same. Yeah, I think it's Mitsubishi that they had the same parts as the Ford Rangers. The Ford Rangers are essentially Mitsubishi trucks. Is it that or Mazda? I'd have to look it up again. It's been a long time since I've talked cars, man. Those are my teenage years. Now I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy something that'll get me there.
Yeah, I mean, I was a kid. I didn't care. I just wanted some wheels.
Right.
I just bought something that I could afford.
Yeah. It was Tiberius Kirk for the win. Ford had Mazda. Okay, that's it. Yeah, so I was thinking of Mazda. No, my Mitsubishi, I had a Mitsubishi Mighty Max. It was my first truck after I switched from cars to trucks for a while, and had a little 4-speed manual, little fucking shitty 4-banger engine in it, and that damn thing had one of those crappy fucking easy start carburetors. Basically, it was like a carburetor, but it had electronically controlled fuel injectors so that you started in the cold without choking out, and it was the worst design ever in anything, ever. It was one of these hybrid carburetors that had electronic fuel injectors instead of jets. And it was, it fucking, the fuel to air mixture was so bad because the computer was going out that like my fucking exhaust pipe would glow red. How hot it fucking ran. That thing was not getting a good air to fuel mixture. I was burning gas like a whore, Jesus Christ. I burned myself good on that, man. I'd pull my fucking car up and I'd stop it and I'd pull the truck up and I'd pop the hood and it'd just be glowing red in the night. I wouldn't even need a flashlight. I could just work on the engine from the glowing metal.
I remember my first car was actually a boat. It was huge.
Yeah, yeah. One of my first cars. Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't a truck. It was just like a boat.
Yeah, yeah. My 76 Monte Carlo was 14 or 17 feet long.
I couldn't believe that a Japanese car was that big. It was fucking huge.
Well, they definitely were back then, even the Japanese cars, until the 80s.
Yeah.
There was a couple in the 70s that were pretty small, like the Gremlin and shit. But man, the fucking 80s, we saw the birth of the really tiny compact car.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and
how
the 70s.
How do you like electric cars?
Oh God, don't even get me started on electric cars, man. I like the idea of it, alternative energy and everything. Human beings should strive to better themselves technologically. However, I don't think the technology is quite there yet. So of course we're going to have stepping stones, but some of these, it's like ridiculous. I had a friend who owned an electric car because, you know, his wife was all, we need to help do our part, you know, for the earth or whatever. And he was just like, I miss my Mustang. You know, like these fucking batteries are expensive. They fucking charge for 8 hours and you get maybe like 2 hours or 3 hours on the road with it. And then you got to switch over to the motor. Isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, it's not that, you know, obviously Tesla has some nice cars that can actually go fast and shit. But charging, what are you going to do about that?
Yeah. How much I've never asked my friend how much his electricity bills were because he got a
fucking there's that. But apart from that, you know, it takes a long time to charge, right?
Yeah, it takes like 8 fucking hours.
They have to work out some sort of system where you can just drive in a fucking gas station and get your battery replaced or something. Right?
Well, they and that's the other thing too, because the world has not embraced this technology. It's not like there's charging stations everywhere. So if you go on a road trip with an electric car, you're going to be using the gas motor. That's why it's a hybrid. You're going to be using the gas motor more often than not.
Well, a Tesla is not a hybrid. It's just electric.
Right, which is why they can only drive them in like one place of the whole world.
Yeah.
Because you go on a road trip in a Tesla and it's all electric.
You can't.
Yeah. When
or you're going to spend a lot of time in diners.
Yeah, you're going to park outside of a gas station and be like, can I plug this in? Can I plug in my car for like fucking hours, please? So the technology, I think, is not there. Now, we had the technology even a long time ago to potentially make a car that runs off of some sort of fusion, like, you know, a hydroelectric car. But the thing is, they didn't want people, how stupid they drive. They didn't want people driving around in small nuclear bombs.
Oh, you mean that one? Okay, I remember that one. Yeah.
They did not want us driving around in a plutonium fueled, you know, fucking engine, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't even believe they actually entertained that for any length. They actually built like a fucking prototype of that.
Yeah, they did, and they were like, "This is a really good idea." And then they crash tested it, and it blew up a building. And they were like, "Okay, wait a minute."
It really doesn't matter if it blows up anything. It's just like, okay, there's plutonium in there. It's enough that it just smashes something and the plutonium leaks. All right.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to blow up. Now that's a radioactive car. Now that's just a joke, everybody. They did not try to build a nuclear powered car. However, a hydrogen powered car could potentially be.
No. They did try to build a nuclear power car.
Well, that's just stupid.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, they never sold it, but it's like, why would you even try to build it? It's like, okay, it's fun to build shit. You're an engineer and everything, but maybe someone should have pulled your funding.
Right. Here's the thing with like, it's what the scientists name things too. It's like, really, like, you've got to pay attention to this. 6.2 kilograms or 14 pounds of subcritical mass of plutonium was literally called the demon core. Why would you want to drive around in anything that had something powering it called the demon core?
I don't know.
Why would you even, like, the scientists like knew this. They were like, what we have created here is the death of the world. So we're going to call this thing the devil. You know, like
next Event Horizon.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, why? Like, I don't. Like, and that is an actual real thing. Like, if you type in, if you Google demon core, you will come up with with a plutonium core. Like, that's what they nicknamed plutonium.
I'd like to drive that car right into fucking North Korea.
I know, right? Yeah. What does this fucking thing run off of? Demons. The souls of man.
Souls of demons. I stole the souls of demons, and I'm gonna fuck them. Oh my God.
But yeah, I get them trying to find alternative, and oil companies are bad about that too. There was a
But here's the thing. Okay, I'm just going to interject this. Isn't that just shifting the fucking tailpipe, right?
What?
Like, if let's say we make all the fucking cars electric, isn't that just shifting the tailpipe from the end of the car to the top of the building that actually burns the coal to produce the electricity? Because we don't want more nuclear, so we're going to burn coal.
That's true. I mean, the environmentalists, the environmental lobbyists are some of the worst, most corrupt fucking people. They don't care about the environment. And here's why. Every time we come out with a new technology, it just doesn't make them happy. They want to get away from fossil fuels, but they don't want to embrace nuclear. And we can't have constant hydroelectric or solar or wind all over the country, because it's impossible to implement. You have to have large bodies of running water. You have to have dams. You have to do a lot of damage to the local environment to build a dam, and
they still don't work all the time.
Yeah, and they still don't work all the time. Like, they only power cities. Like, you can't just use hydroelectric. You have to have nuclear in order to power the massive amount of electricity needed for entire regions of the United States.
Yeah, and like I said, when they don't work, when it's not raining, or when the sun is not shining, you need something else.
Right. And we will always need fossil fuels. Like, even a nuclear power plant uses some fossil fuel. Because the last thing you want to do is flood in freezing cold river water into a nuclear core that's burning so hot it cracked the fucking thing. You have to heat the water up somehow first,
right,
to a certain temperature before you flood the core with it to cool the core off. And so we still use coal to burn in order to heat water. Now, we use a hell of a lot less coal in a nuclear power plant than we do in an actual coal power plant.
Right.
That would use the fire from burning coal to produce power. And so, but people are still complaining about that. Like, oh, why do we even need coal? Because, you fucking retard, we got to burn something. What are we going to do? Burn wood? It doesn't burn hot enough. Like, what, do you want to cut down more trees? Is that what you want? Like, and a lot of people don't realize too, our reliance on fossil fuels isn't even just for like oil and burning gas in our cars. It's literally used to make everything that we fucking use. Electronics are petroleum-based products.
Mm-hmm.
All the fucking motherboards and little plastics and all that stuff is all petroleum-based. It's all fossil fuels.
Right.
So if you want to get rid of your plastic cups and your fucking motherboards and your fucking processors, if you want to get rid of all that shit, then fine. Let's get off of fucking coal and oil, But our society would essentially go back to the Stone Age. We can't live off of a couple wind turbines, okay? We can't fucking do it. It's not realistic. No. It's not fucking realistic.
That is a nice sort of Hollywood cliche, though. Like, going back to the original state. Right?
Now,
going back to just, having some, maybe a little windmill, but that's it. And then just sheep and cows and
and the
you
internet
go do that. All right, you go do that.
The internet is provided to us by the power of 10 million Amish churning butter 24 hours a day.
No, I actually think they actually want the internet to go away in that kind of ideology, but I don't think they would actually like it in reality.
Yeah. Now, Skirnt brings up in the chat, I hope I'm saying his name right. He says, Magog new technology doesn't need that. Now, that is true. Here's the thing, though. They're fighting new technology. They will not update. They won't. The fucking lobbyists will not allow us to update these fucking new these old power plants. Most of our nuclear power plants in this country were built in the fucking 70s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so like you can't just go in there and switch out a motherboard and be good. Like these things need a major overhaul in order to get the new technologies in, and they're not allowing us to fucking do it because they're like, it's too dangerous. You know, like there's a constant fight against nuclear power, and nuclear power is the cleanest power.
Obviously, they think it's better to destroy the planet.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have to bury the nuclear fucking waste in the desert. Like, we've got to take it somewhere. Those rods, those nuclear fucking rods. Yeah, we do have to fucking bury them like deep underground in the middle of the desert. But fuck's sake, that's because how dangerous it is. But at least we figured out that it's that dangerous, and that we know at what depths we can bury it, and it's nowhere near any water table. It can't poison us. It can't kill us. The desert's a fucking perfect place to dump that shit.
Of course.
So I
don't see the problem.
Yeah, and nuclear power plants. What one nuclear power plant does in a day would take 10 coal burning electric plants.
Right, but we still don't use a lot of nuclear power.
Right. And, so like nuclear power plants definitely need to be updated, because I have read up on these new technologies on how to properly skirt a lot of the environmental issues with nuclear power plants. But they also won't let us fucking update our 30-year-old fucking nuclear power plants.
That's true.
It's bullshit. You walk into like nowadays with a 30-year-old nuclear power plant running this fucking thing. Nowadays, you could probably build a power plant that's much smaller with a single control room. Like, you don't have to have rooms filled with computers anymore. My fucking laptop could probably run a modern nuclear power plant with the amount of memory and the amount of processing power you can buy in modern computers.
Oh yeah. What's the name of that agency? The Nuclear Regulatory something
Commission. Yeah, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission.
Right. I had to sign documents with them when I bought my first professional computer, because apparently it was powerful enough to control a nuclear power plant or a nuclear missile or something.
Yeah. Well, you got to think back to the 60s. We went to the moon in a rocket that ran on a computer that was like kilobytes, like my cell phone.
No, not your cell phone, like your pocket calculator.
Yeah, your pocket calculator could fucking send a rocket to the moon, technically.
Yeah, because a cell phone nowadays is like a 64-bit fucking monster compared to that.
Yeah, it's a mini computer. Now, we're getting some good fucking comments in the question. Doubting Tommy says, nuclear power causes nuclear waste still, doesn't it? Yes, that's the rods. Once they, we have to dump this nuclear waste. And, but
right.
You know what?
And we have Nevada. We have Nevada.
Yeah, we have the desert for that. And Matthew Steinberg makes a very good point. 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl still scare people. Yes, it does. That's the problem. 3 Mile Island wasn't a complete meltdown though, and very I don't even think there were any casualties. And Chernobyl was like Russian bullshit. Like, they had no regulations whatsoever, so obviously something terrible was going to happen. And that's what happens when communists build nuclear power plants.
Yeah. And that kids should teach you about communism.
Right. It's like they were just so obsessed with beating America technologically. And in many ways they did. A lot of rocket scientists and stuff were from Russia. But man, they just really sucked at at fucking governing, and regulating, dangerous things like that, they
didn't care. They had plenty of people. That wasn't the problem. They didn't have any money. They had plenty of people though, so they could just shove people at the problem.
Right.
Instead of what we do, shove money at the problem.
And the ones in Japan scare people too, because there's been quite a few meltdowns in Japan, but that's because they have fucking tsunamis and earthquakes there. Yeah. Never build a fucking nuclear power plant on a fucking sandy beach in a fucking hurricane alley.
They may
You know,
they may want to just reconsider where they're placing their shit.
like, fuck's sake, people. I mean, I thought that they would have at least considered maybe we shouldn't build nuclear power plants because of Godzilla, because he might be attracted, you know, just in case.
Have you seen the movies? Have you seen the movies, guys?
These people never learn from Hollywood. They never learn. Yeah, look at Mind Rover over here knows his shit. The original Apollo CPU was an 8-bit Motorola.
Yeah.
Essentially,
sure
yeah. You know. But,
it's a 6502.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, like the new technologies. I mean, the way they can cool reactors now with the new like chemical mixtures and things like that. Science is kicking ass, but that our governments and our society is slow to keep up with it. That's the problem. It's like some scientist will discover some new thing and it'll be like, this can be world changing. And then before you know it, like the government comes in and goes, no, we got to test this for the next 20 years first, you know, and, you know, things like that. And then, of course, there's all the lobbyists and stuff who have their own agendas.
Well, I mean, I'm not against testing shit. It's just the next point you made is better. Like the lobbyists came in and just said, no, because that would drive oil out of business.
Yeah, you know, like we got these people who are like, here's this wonderful new technology that will save lives, save us money, cut down on environmental waste and environmental destruction. And then the lobbyists will come around and be like, but you're building it where the spotted owl lives.
Of course. Jesus.
You know, the fuck.
Okay. Super chat here. Cancer Cuck. Wow, it's a nice name, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, it is. It's fucking
look
amazing.
into Lockheed Martin compact fusion reactor. It's pretty damn incredible how close they are to generating power with it. All right.
Yeah. Lockheed Martin's been working on that for years, and they're close, but close is no cigar, my friend. They've still got probably at least another decade of fucking refining to do.
Where's that supposed to go, though?
Well, because it's a mini fusion reactor, they're hoping to be able to put it in, you know, and maybe not cars. Yeah, I don't know what they plan on doing it. I personally don't want to drive around in a fusion reactor. No, scratch that. I'm a damn good driver. I don't trust other people.
No. He didn't say fusion. He said fission, right? No, he said fusion. Oh my God.
It's a fusion reactor. Fission is.
It's a fusion reactor. Okay, well, if they made that work, I would have heard about it.
As long as they make
they didn't.
As long as they make the Demon Core car, I'm okay. You know,
but I'd love to see a fusion reactor. That'd be awesome. We haven't done that.
Well,
I mean, that's been the holy grail.
It has next to, I mean, well, fusion. It depends on what kind of like, you know, technology we're talking about. Turning something as simple and as abundant as water into energy has actually been the holy grail, the cold fusion, you know, and that would be fucking amazing if we can stabilize it. But unfortunately, hydrogen atoms are not fun to fuck around with. Okay?
Right. But, you know, boom, boom. You know, it doesn't matter. Any type of fusion would probably be better than fission. So I'm all for it. Investigate that shit and investigate the hell out of it.
Fuck yeah. Investigate. We constantly need to be pushing these boundaries, but we also need to do it safely. Like a lot of people.
We have another super chat here from Mind Rover. He says, Magog needs to say, worship me.
Worship me. There. Yeah, I don't know what CHF is. What country is that? CHF $5.
CHF. Czech Republic? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe you can tell us.
Yeah, it's the democratic state of chefs. Nobody
the
but chefs.
Chef.
Yeah, it's the chef state.
Right. I don't know. CHF.
Oh God.
Chernobyl? No.
Switzerland, apparently, according to Mind Rover. Thank you,
Switzerland.
Delicious chocolate and beautiful.
What does that mean, though? What is your currency called? Like, how do you pronounce that? Let's see if
is
Sorry?
triggering me. Let's see if they answer it. Yeah, let the chat catch up. But he's
Yeah.
triggering me that with mentioning the 2017 Dodge Challenger Demon. Fuck that. That's a bastardization of the original Demon. I love Dodge Darts, man. And the Dodge Dart Demon was like a badass fucking car, man. I love the Dodge Dart Demon. But I do miss those days where like automotive companies still didn't have like the regulatory, commission on their back constantly. And so they would like accidentally fuck things up now and again. Like they'd accidentally make a car that just explodes if you touch it. Like I miss those days. I think that got rid of a lot more idiots off the road, the fucking Ford Pinto, like if you rear-ended it just right, it would just like blow up.
Oh, okay. So Mind Rover's back. He says it's CH equals Switzerland.
Right. And Franks is
and Franks.
Right.
Franks, that makes sense because that's what the French used to have, but CH equals Switzerland?
That's because, like, I thought we call it Switzerland, but it's...
They call it the Czech Republic.
I didn't know.
We just call it Switzerland.
Like, I don't know. No, I don't think Switzerland is the Czech Republic.
Why is it CH? Like, is it Swish?
No, it stands...
Chich?
Apparently it stands for... Let me Google this. It stands for... I don't even know how to... basically, it's Latin for the Helvetic Confederation, or Confederatio Helvetica.
Oh.
So
Helvetica, like the font?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I never knew where that word came from.
Yeah, it's Latin.
Well, I mean, yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know that was Swiss. That's interesting. But that makes sense. That makes sense because they talk about the Swiss School of Design, right?
Yeah, it does.
And the Swiss School of Design is pretty much Helvetica, right?
Right. Sure. Yeah, I guess.
You know the font, right?
Yeah, of course. I know the Helvetica font. I think one of the most important tribal groups in the Swiss region was the Helveti. And they were steadily harassed by Germanic tribes in 58 BC. And then they decided to abandon the Swiss plateau and migrate to Western Gallia. But Julius Caesar came around and pursued and defeated them at the Battle of Bibracte. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I love history. I do, but I don't know it all. I have to look things up because
right. No, obviously.
I can't keep it all
in
my head. Yeah, I can't keep it all in my head. I'm just going to continue to call them the free democratic state of chefs, because they do good food in Switzerland and chocolate, and they have big titty blonde bitches there, and I love them.
Who wouldn't love that? Chocolate and big tits. Who wouldn't love that?
Who doesn't love that? Peterbilt's in there in the chat. What's up, Peterbilt? Yeah, I am feeling better, brother. Thank you for asking. I'm feeling better. I just haven't got my voice back 100%, and so we'll see how content goes this weekend. But yeah, it's been shit this week. It's been fucking shit.
Yeah, just gotta let him chill his voice. Chill the voice.
Yeah.
It takes a lot out of you to make that voice.
Yes, it does. Well, not as much as it used to be. I used to really strain, but then I kind of figured out how to use my diaphragm more, so it is a little better, but it's still kind of a scratchy, just, oh, for the love of God, and so like, if it goes for too long, like on live stream, sometimes it's like 2 hours of being Magog. Like it can be killer, man. It can be real killer.
Do you do live streams in character?
Yeah, my side quest live stream is an hour and a half on Monday nights, and I'm in character with Beard Burying and Vamp. And then Saturday nights I do my stream, the Magog and Medusa show with Modern Medusa, and I'm like on camera with the costume on, everything.
Holy shit! Yeah. That would fuck up your voice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then when I go to record content, sometimes I'm filming for a good hour and a half doing the voice too.
Yeah, I know. Like when I do like the Emperor impression, that's like 10 seconds and my voice is fucked.
Yeah. So like I sacrifice my health and my body and my emotions
for art.
Yeah, for art. Speaking of art, I I'm in art, basically I'm taking art classes because I'm getting my degree in illustration and design, and I'm in college right now, and I can now see 100% now that I'm in a proper university and not just a community tech college, which is where I took
Mhm.
all my basics just to get them knocked out. Now I'm in a proper university, and I can now see why I really do believe I understand now how academia like pushes their agendas, because it's not like you get in the classroom and the teachers are all like, you must believe that black people are oppressed everywhere. It's not that upfront, but it's like these little things, like they'll be given a lecture and then they'll interject something,
Right.
and then the students just kind of nod their head, you know and because the teacher is saying it, I guess it comes with some sort of legitimacy behind it, so they start to believe it themselves. And then you do 4 years of that. There's no wonder people come out of college completely fucking brainwashed. Drauka Krisa just gave you $5. Didn't say anything, but thank you, Drauka. That's kind
Drauka Grisa. I hope
of,
I'm pronouncing that right.
yeah,
Thank you very much. It's
that
much appreciated.
and they have like a pentagram inside the Godsmack sun. So
Yeah, that's a nice logo. Thank you very much.
Satan! Let's bleed for the dark one. Oh, that hurt a little. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, like get an aspirin going there.
Throat spray.
Yeah, you got to save your voice for your show, man.
Yeah, I know, right? And like doing Poe's voice. Doing Poe's voice is a lot easier because it's just kind of like my cartoony parody of like a 1930s gangster. Just see, and then I just take it to the dead bird and just kind of take. When Magog is away, Poe comes out to play. Welcome to Midnight Dreary. I'm Poe, and we're gonna deal with a bunch of fucking retards today. Yay!
Oh, you sound kind of like Lord, what is his Lord Bear, right?
Well,
Right, Bear's character was his name.
No, Lord Bear does the proper kind of posh Englishman. What I think it sounds like is if you've ever seen the Venture Brothers, it kind of sounds like the Monarch Butterfly to me. Like, damn you, Venture Brothers! Holy shit!
It is similar though.
Yeah, because it's a bit posh. I have to make it a bit posh, just because I think it adds a little funniness to the character, where he's just like, you know what? You're a fucking retard. Like, so when he's posh most of the time, and then he pulls out that kind of like that modern lingo now and again to insult somebody, it's kind of a juxtaposition. So juxtaposition comedy is really, really kind of
that is always good. Oh, yeah. we have a new super chat from Jables Boogly. I haven't seen your stream since your birthday. Welcome back. Well, I don't think I've streamed since then, have I? I was talking to Magog just earlier, and I was like, yeah, I haven't streamed in a long time. Let's do a stream.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think I have. So I'm very happy to see you here and that you're turning in and tuning in and all that. So thank you very much for that.
Yes.
But yeah, I have been I've been bad at updating streams on this channel. I should do more streams. I'm bad with that.
Yeah, I'm terrible with like Patreon too. Like so many of I'm so thankful to the people who give me money, and yet I have yet to do like a Patreon stream and shit because of just school and work and everything. It's just been hell on me these past couple weeks, or these past couple months actually. And so I'm really looking forward to the break, because maybe I'll be able to do a little bit more. But right now I'm just shit hammered.
It's kind of nice. Yeah, I should do more Patreon streams as well. And I'm actually planning on that, but I did one before, and it was interesting because it's kind of like chat roulette. You have no idea who's going to show up, and then it was like people just show up and go, well, let's talk about this. Okay. It's weird, and it's fun.
at least like that's what my thing. The reason I've held off on the Patreon streams is mostly because I'm trying to implement a better system of control by using Discord, and I have someone help me out by bringing people in, you know, like kind of like taking a phone call instead of just allowing people to have the link, because it can turn into chaos. Like,
yeah, but I mean, I don't do the Patreon streams for anything other than the Patreon. So if they want to just show up and trash the stream, I guess that's on them. They pay me.
Sure, yeah, yeah. I like the last time I tried to just do like an open Google Hangouts, people click the link that should not have, and it was just a constant barrage of like fucking. This one guy popped in and just started singing show tunes.
What? Singing show tunes?
Yeah, he just was like da 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 da. You know, like I was like, shut up, man.
Could you just turn him off?
I tried. We tried muting him, and he'd turn it back on, and we tried booting him out. But because he had the link, he'd come back in, and because I was using the regular Google Hangouts at the time. Don't get me wrong. I've learned a lot more since then. If you use the actual on-air Google Hangouts, if you boot somebody, they don't come back. Like you can banish somebody from that stream like completely.
Right.
But it's still one of those, like, I think I'd rather do it a little bit more like taking phone calls, because I think there's a little bit more control there. People can put themselves in a waiting room, and then my friend can drag them in one at a time. Because the other thing that I have a problem with is I'm blind as a fucking bat when I have the contact lenses in and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different for me. I have to figure out a system because I can't see shit when I'm in character.
Right.
Because I have these contact lenses in, these whiteout contact lenses that cover my pupil and everything. And
okay,
so
but you,
like,
you don't have to do that for a Patreon hangout, so, and you shouldn't, actually.
Yeah, maybe. Well, a lot of people, I think if they're paying money, they want to talk to the character. They don't want to talk to the actor behind it, you know?
Okay, no, I don't think so. If I were to, like, meet Arnold Schwarzenegger, I don't want to talk to the fucking Terminator. I want to talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Well, yeah, that's you. But at the same time, I've got a lot of fans who really want to interact with the character of Magog. You know?
I don't buy that.
Well, I'm only basing that based on like comments and messages.
I mean, come on,
so.
who'd want to interact with a fake character?
Well, you know, I mean, that's how some people really love the character that much. You know, it's kind of.
I know they love the character, and it's a great character, and I love it. But you know, if I were to hit you up and I was just a fan, I would like to talk to you, and I would like to ask you questions. How did you figure out what to put on, and how did you come up with the costume, and you know, right?
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm just basing that off of what I've heard other people say. Like some people do like me as me and want to talk to me as I'm talking to you now, and then some people are like, "Oh man, I'd love to do a Magog stream." You know, like with you as Magog, you know. So really, you know, it's not that they're all like they think he's real. They just think it'll be funner, you know.
Okay.
You know. So
well, I guess it's their money.
Yeah, right.
Why don't you put up a poll?
Yeah. I should put up a Twitter poll and be like, "Would you guys like to stream? Would you guys like to stream with me as me, or do you want to stream with Magog?"
Right. Right.
You know. I could start doing start doing streams as Poe too. That'd be interesting. You know, get a little dead bird emblem. Just
right.
Okay. I can sit there and be like, my God couldn't be here, so you got the poor man's character. What he you know.
But now okay, now you didn't sound like Bear though.
No. Poe definitely sounds different than Irate Bear. But I've got Irate Bear on board. He's building himself a little set, and he's getting like a medieval lord's outfit, and he's going to be on camera, and he's going to join our little troop.
Yeah. I saw him talking about that on the stream.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's going to be fun, right?
Oh yeah, because him and Magog, like we've done a couple streams where we've just kind of joked around about it. We're just avatars, but he'll pop into one of my streams and be like, "Well, hello, you filthy mongrel," and I'll be like, "Hello, Lord, how are you today?" And he'd be like, "I was just out striking the peasants." Aw, you know, like, it's really funny, you know. I like to give them the old backhand, you know.
Oh yeah.
And so I really want to bring that kind of character dynamic to the screen. And so I'm really working with him to get him set up with a whole shtick and everything like I do. And I'm kind of starting that kind of, I guess, revolution, you know, in doing YouTube a little different than everybody else by actually building sets and doing kind of a higher production and creating characters, but still be able to make these like social and political arguments and call people fucking retards, you know.
It's a good combination.
Yeah, it's a good combination. And it's really fun. It really is. I so enjoy being Magog and writing from the perspective of Magog. And sometimes I'll sit down and do a script and be like, what would Magog say? Not me. What would Magog say? So it's kind of like putting it's kind of like when a novelist writes a book, the character kind of takes on its own life, you know?
Right. And so hold on a second. Can you rape the chat for a second while I go to the little boys' room?
Sure, I will do that.
Rape him.
Rape. I'll even type that in, my signature. Yes, rape. Man, you've been drawing up a motherfucker over there, Free Press.
Yep.
Getting tired yet over there on British time?
Oh, AP's in the chat.
Oh, is he? Oh, what's up, AP? What's going on, buddy?
Can you smell what Magog is cooking?
Can you smell?
Did you see his podcast the other day?
I've been sick. I haven't watched anything.
Barack says, like it's like the rock theme as he comes in. You need to check it out.
Hell yeah!
Barack says, "Can you smell what Barack is cooking?"
Can you smell what Barack is cooking? That's clever. Oh, somebody says, "Is there any juggalos here?" Juggalagaroni. Magog is cooking up some ass rape, and it smells like shit. Yes, that is exactly. Nothing but Magogonites, you know. Yes. Magog, make a Poe series in your Poe voice where it is super satirical but realistic view of SJWs. Sure. I've been wanting to try new things with Poe. I really have. But Poe doesn't like react to videos. That's Magog's thing. So Poe has to react to like written articles or advice columns or whatever. But at the same time, there's I think the ones that like Poe, not everybody watches Poe on my channel, but the ones that like Midnight Dreary really, really like it. And so I can't I'll have to do like a separate series if I do that. And I've already started a separate series called Dreary Fan Letters, where he reads letters that are actually written to him, you know? Mm-hmm. So Dreary Fan Letters and, you know, Poe does join Magog now and again in response videos. That's kind of like his sidekick, but that's kind of Magog's thing. I don't want Poe to completely take over my channel like Magog is. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the character Poe, and he's really cathartic. There he is. Talking about Poe, people are asking me to do different things with Poe. Poe is actually a really good idea. I love doing Poe. It's so cathartic to me because
it's a great name.
Yeah, and sometimes the jokes just write themselves. You know, it's not like Magog, where I sometimes have to think about what the person is saying in a video. Poe gets to just take these like advice columns.
Did you think about a Poe when you named him? Like,
oh yeah,
you know, like a troll.
Yeah, the how Poe came into existence was this. I did a video on Boston Antifa because I thought they were real. I fell for it. Mm-hmm. I did. And when everybody was like, you know, these guys are like Poes, right? I was like, shit, you know, and I knew what a Poe was on the internet, which is, you know, right. It doesn't come from Edgar Allan Poe. It comes from a quote by Nathan Poe. However, I was sitting there going, I have this dead skeleton of a bird that's a Halloween prop, and it's a raven. Edgar Allan Poe wrote The Raven. That's his most famous poem, probably, you know. Mm-hmm. And then here's this internet lingo, this Poe on the internet, which are like people that are so heavy in satire, you can't tell the difference between reality and fiction. And so what I did after I found out Boston Antifa was a Poe, I did a special episode to kind of tackle the issue of Magog falling for this Poe. And I brought out this dead bird, and he was the soul of a dead thief trapped in the bones of a raven. and his job was to help me figure out if something was real or not. And that's how Poe was born. And that's how Poe was born. And so, yeah, Poe is definitely 100%.
Definitely part of him.
Right. It comes from actually being a Poe. But I thought the juxtaposition of him being kind of based on a dead raven and have this like Edgar Allan Poe vibe is kind of a funny little juxtaposition as well. And so I rolled with it. So I created a dead bird, a dead fucking raven that talks shit, essentially. You know.
Are you going to have a heart?
A heart?
Like the telltale heart?
Oh, no. I did pull a heart out in a gag in one of my videos, and I just kind of, it's like a Halloween prop. It's a bloody heart, and I just kind of tossed it on the floor, you know. But no, I do have a couple other characters lined up, but I'm not going to give anything away too much. But I'm definitely, things are growing right now. There's a lot of plans in the works. I've just got to find the time to do it with school and everything. It's been real hard. And I honestly can't stand school. Like
tell us about school.
I hate this fucking university I'm at. I mean, it's so.
I hate this planet. I want to get off it.
Yeah, it's so fucking cringy, man. Like, I'll give you an example. In non-Western art, I am the only male in the entire class.
Really?
Yeah, teacher's female. All the other students are female, and I'm the only one. And the other day, we're doing our lecture, non-Western art, obviously, so it's going to be about the Asias and the Middle East and all that stuff, the art from those regions of the world, non-European, basically.
Right.
And we're sitting here, we're learning about this like tribal art from the different islands in Polynesia and Micronesia, you know, and New Zealand, Australia, you know, the whole Pacific area. And we get to Papua New Guinea, and there's this culture called the Adalam culture that have these houses called men's houses. And basically it's just a triangle building sitting on the ground. I mean, it doesn't have stilts, you know, it's literally just a triangle that goes all the way to the ground. And
man shed.
Yeah, it's a shed basically. And it has this crawl space. You have to crawl through it. It's not even got a proper door. You have to crawl into it, kind of like a teepee, you know?
Right.
And we're talking, and she's sitting there like this is an exclusive space just for men of the tribe because they're the political leaders, they're the religious leaders, and it's called a men's house because that's, you know, women aren't allowed. And I'm sitting here listening, and I'm like, oh God, here it comes, and I can feel it. It's kind of like spider senses. I can feel the danger coming, and I knew something cringy was coming. And sure enough, my teacher was like, "This is an exclusive male space. This is a patriarchal tribe." They have male leaders and everything. And she goes, now here's another piece of artwork from the same tribe. And she pulls up a picture on the slides of this statue, very tribal looking statue of a naked woman with her legs spread. And I guess it's some sort of fertility statue or something like that. But its legs are spread in that exact kind of like really strict kind of triangle shape. And she said in the class, if you look at the shape of her legs, it's the same shape as this house. So maybe men's houses were originally based on women, but the men took it over. And I literally like, I mean, it gave me a headache that I think only a 9mm aspirin could cure.
Oh yeah.
You know, I really did want to just, you know, pull a fucking Jeremy Spoke in class today, Pearl Jam moment, just blow my own fucking brains out. Like, I fucking hated that because based on one fertility statue that happened to have triangular legs.
Yeah, because that's never happened before.
Right. That suddenly the female, you know, the females might have been the first ones to create the men's house, but then the men just kind of moved in and made it their own space. And it's like, wait a minute, it's a fucking triangle.
Yeah, no one's ever liked that, you know. The Egyptians, no. Those were actually landing pads for spacecraft.
Right. And the fact that she had to say, like, she couldn't just let it be that this tribe is a patriarchal tribe, that the women are essentially got different roles in this tribe. She had to like try to twist some sort of like, you know, hypothesis about the shape of the building being the same shape as these triangle legs on this fertility statue. And it's like, how do you know? What if this guy was just horny and carved a statue of a woman with her legs spread?
Yeah.
You know,
Have you ever heard of porn?
you know, like
A woman with her legs spread?
yeah, but how is a statue of a woman with her legs spread in a triangular shape
I don't know.
somehow
You tell
translate
me.
to the men's house has a triangular shape? Might be based on women.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
legs look the way they look. It's like, get over it.
You know, yeah, I mean it's one of those things where she was all like, and then the little crawl door space to the men's house where you have to crawl through it. She was like, it's almost like they're, you know, it's a very tight space. It's almost like they're crawling back into the womb. That's what she said.
Oh, I
They're like
know,
crawling.
I know. You just had to say it.
Oh yeah. I was like, that is fucking stupid.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it
You
was.
had
It
to
was
say
just.
it, didn't you?
Yeah,
You
just.
fucking sadist.
Oh God. But I mean, imagine that. Imagine being like a classroom filled with women, and they were all just nodding, like, "Oh, of course,
Of course.
of
Yeah.
course." The men of this tribe are
They're all
crawling
like
back.
they're all like Jen Huger. Of course. Of course. Of course. Yeah, yeah.
And nobody challenged it except for me. I raised my hand, and she was like, "Yes, Magog." I'm obviously not going to say my real name, but
Yeah.
I was like, "How do you know?" I was like, what if that's just a fertility statue? I mean, obviously women have to spread their legs oftentimes to give birth or, you know, to have sex or whatever.
Mhm.
Why is that somehow connected to the triangle shape of this fucking building? You know, I don't get it. Like, how could you make that distinction? Well, it's been studied by who?
Yeah. It's been studied.
Yeah. Do not question your brainwashing. Yeah, but you have to like crawl through this like really tiny door, and she's like, "Well, what else do you think it means crawling through the door or whatever?" And I was just like, maybe they don't want people looking in.
Or maybe they weren't fucking bright enough to put the front door in.
Yeah, or maybe they wanted a crawl space so it's easy to guard, or and you know, or maybe it's such
Yeah,
a
but I
small
mean,
tight.
think about it. Think about it. It is kind of difficult to put in a front door. Then you have to sort of split all the logs because I suspect it was built by logs, right?
Right.
So you have to
Basically,
split.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to put in the fucking what do they call that? The thing they put in a top of a door frame.
Well, yeah, you have to actually create a fucking load bearing, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I don't know what
Yeah,
it's called, but you know,
yeah,
you have to
because
have a load bearing thing, and you have to split the thing, and you know, I'm not sure those kind of cultures even knew about that stuff.
yeah, I mean, they literally just cut a hole in the fucking bottom of it, and we're like, let's crawl in, you
Yeah,
know, like, you know,
let's not make things more complicated than they are. Let's just crawl in, dudes. We
you
got
know, and
beer in here and fucking bongs.
you know, and don't get me wrong, studying other cultures, especially that have been around even longer before the rise of certain Asian cultures and stuff, it can be hard to interpret what they're fucking doing, you know.
Yeah, but you know, it's kind of like when you read, like, it doesn't matter if it's like the Bible or whatever. Like, sometimes you just gotta stop yourself and think, what if people actually found Star Wars 2,000 years from now? Are they going to think that's a religion?
Yeah, probably. I
Like,
mean,
come on.
look at Scientology for fuck's sake. I mean, Jesus Christ. You know
Have you ever been to one of those countries though?
what, the Polynesian countries?
Mhm.
No, I've never been to the Pacific. I've been all over Europe, but I never made it to the Pacific. I do want to. I want to go to Easter
Oh
Island
yeah,
and see the
I've
heads.
been there. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's not as backward as they make it out. Those fucking SCWs.
Well, yeah, it depends on where you go. I mean, you go to a place like New Zealand or Hawaii, it's really modern, even though they hold on to their
Well,
traditions.
I'm talking more like Tahiti.
Well, even Tahiti, because it's a place to go for tourism, like it's a big tourist spot because of how beautiful the beaches are and everything. But if you go to like some Micronesian island nobody's ever heard of, they're going to be pretty poor and pretty
Well,
backwards.
I've been to some pretty small islands.
Yeah, there's like 7,000 islands in fucking Polynesia alone. Like,
I've been to islands where there were no inhabitants.
yeah,
So,
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'd be digging around for pirate treasure. Where'd they bury it, motherfucker?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just couldn't. I can't stand that shit. And all my classes are a little like that. There's always these little subliminal things that the teacher will say. You
Mhm.
know, that just like you can tell it's like working its way in. To these young minds. And of course, I'm 32. I'm much older than most of everybody in all my classes, except for the teacher. And I'm sitting here just listening to this, going, "You just fucking are
I thought they
blowing
were
my mind."
supposed to teach you about art, not politics.
Well, like I said, that's why it's like very, very subversive little things. It's not like, oh, this is what we're going to talk about today. They do lecture. I do learn things. We get to see the artwork and the different traditional, dances and rituals and stuff. And most of the time, it's all just, this is what they do here. But every now and again, that teacher will just slide something in there that'll just be like, only men are allowed to do this. Isn't that messed up? And it's like, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
fucking
well,
tribal society. What do you expect?
it's not this society.
Yeah, it's like they're interjecting some. It just feels like they're interjecting their own personal
They would
beliefs.
never interject anything about the Islamic world, would they?
Yeah, like the first thing in the first region we covered in non-Western art was the Middle East, Islam, and because they don't actually have a lot of art, because
Hmm.
they live in an iconoclastic um, religion in a society that's um, against showing icons of their religious leaders and stuff like that. A lot of the art is more calligraphy and tile work and stuff, which is
Right.
beautiful, don't get me wrong, but because of that, because there's a lack of like paintings and sculptures from the Middle East, we mostly just learned about the religion of Islam itself. And I'm like, this is an art class.
Right.
Why do I have to know the story of Muhammad?
Well, you don't.
A little background, maybe. Yeah, sure. Like if you have a piece of artwork or a nice, beautiful mosaic in a mosque, and it's like this is based on the Quran and the teachings of Muhammad. But why did I have to literally like watch a fucking 2 hour documentary the first fucking day of class on Muhammad?
Ooh, a documentary. I bet they didn't show his face.
Oh no, no, of course not. But there's definitely like this push to just kind of normalize the teachings of Islam and stuff by showing all the beautiful parts of the Middle East. And there are beautiful parts of the Middle East, but why in an art class? I can understand a history class, but why an art class? There's something about the nature of it.
Right.
Because like I remember this documentary and I fucking found it. I even posted it on Twitter, and it was a documentary, and it was narrated by Sir Ben Kingsley talking about Islam. And I swear to God, they said the word social justice 5 times in that documentary.
No.
Yep. They'd get these experts in quotations on to talk about Muhammad's story, and they would literally be like, he was like during his time when these tribal wars were going on and everybody just hated each other and were enslaving each other. Muhammad came around and he was all about social justice. He was all about allowing anybody to worship Islam. It didn't matter the color of your skin or what region you were from or what tribe you were from. And that was like really, that was really important to the growth of Islam and all this and that. And I'm listening to this, just rubbing my fucking temples like fucking Muhammad was a social justice warrior. Of course he was.
Well, okay. I guess we can accept that because that makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense for the time. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it works because what you want to do when you create, when you've created a single God religion like that, in order to bring everybody together, you kind of have to allow everybody together. And it is true. Islam, the Islamic Empire, they were responsible for the growth of like mathematics and studies and stuff. A lot of that stuff came from them, and they also like look at you know look at Jerusalem. The war over Jerusalem, Muslims would allow the Jews and the Christians all to worship in Jerusalem too. Now they wouldn't let them do it in Mecca because Jerusalem was important to the Islamic religion, but not as important as Mecca. And so
Right.
they were like okay with the Jews being at the Wailing Wall and the Christians going to see the hill that Christ was crucified on. But what's important in Jerusalem for Muslims is the Dome of the Rock. which is a massive building with a golden dome that they built over the site of Abraham's, where they think Abraham. It was a Jewish site and then a Christian site, and then it was built on top of that was the Muslims kind of took it over, and that's where they believe Muhammad ascended into the heavens.
Right.
But it's also the site as to where the Jews and the Christians believe that Abraham almost sacrificed his son before being stopped by, Gabriel. God told him to sacrifice his son, so he was about to fucking do it. And there's this big slab of stone in the middle of this dome on the ground, and it's a religious site, but it's not a mosque. It's a religious site. It's a place of journey and prayer for all. And Islam really prided themselves on it, and that's why it's called the Dome of the Rock, because it's got a big fucking rock in it.
Yeah, it sounds like creationists to me.
Right, but the Kaaba in Mecca, which is in Saudi Arabia, modern day Saudi Arabia, is where the Holy Land is for Islam, and that's why they all pray to that direction. It's a cube. It's a cube, and originally it was a temple for the polytheistic religions of the Bedouin tribes. The Bedouin tribes all worship different spirits, and they were all obviously and different gods, and they were obviously at war with each other. And so Muhammad got this message from the angels that there is only one God, Allah. And he went to Mecca and tossed out the statues of all the old gods and destroyed them, and made the Kaaba in Mecca, the cube, the site of pretty much his first holy church. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's called Mecca. Now, the reason I bring that up is that's where their kind of iconoclastic religion comes from. They destroy religious statues and artworks because they don't believe in religions that show their creators, have symbols for their gods. And so there are statues of Buddha that predate Mecca, that predate Muhammad, that they have blown up with fucking explosives and shot with tanks and just destroyed these like 1,000-year-old Buddha statues in Iraq and Afghanistan, simply because they don't like icons.
Well, that's what ISIS did.
Yeah, ISIS is a big player in that. They blew up some statues that they're just not there anymore. They just blew them up.
Yeah, smashed them and go in fucking sledgehammers and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, they did. They did.
Yeah, they did. And it happened in Mao's China too, where the belief of Mao was that in order to create a perfect communist society, one had to get rid of the past. And so they would literally go around and break the faces off of Buddha statues and stuff like that. And people with names that were based in Confucianism and Buddhism had to legally change their name to a modern Chinese name.
Right.
And to me, that's like the worst fucking thing ever. Like to just destroy something ancient because you believe, the only way to better your society is to forget your fucking history and forget your traditions. And that's kind of a terrible thing. And that's why a lot of people are kind of comparing the tearing down of Confederate statues to Mao's China and Islam and ISIS, because it doesn't matter if the history was good or bad or evil or prosperous. It matters that they exist and that certain people just don't like them.
Right.
And that's a dangerous ideology.
That's a dangerous way. That's a good point, though. I haven't thought of that.
Yeah, it's iconoclasm. It's like, hey, destroy that thing. Why? Because it doesn't align with how we think.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, we should just destroy everything.
Right. And so, like, a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm happy the Confederate statue got torn down at that one place. It got crumpled. It was a bronze statue. And I'm like, well, why? Well, it represents slavery. Well, what about the statue itself? Well, what do you mean? Well, take out the historical context of the statue. If you just forget for a second the history of the Confederacy and just look at the statue itself, is it still not beautiful as a standalone piece of artwork? Somebody had to take the time to cast that and to create all the details and the face and the hat and the uniform the guy's wearing. And like, in essence, this bronze statue was made beautifully, and they just destroyed it in a second.
Right.
Probably took that artist, back in the 1800s or, late 1800s. It probably took him months to cast that statue, to
Years.
design it, and to mold it and to do the wax casting. And it's like they just put a rope around it and tore it down in a second.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's sad.
And so when you look at it from an artistic point of view, it doesn't matter what it represents. The beauty of a thing doesn't necessarily mean
no, because it's history.
Right. And it doesn't matter if it's history from 20 years ago or 200 years ago. You were tearing down something somebody created in a country where we're supposed to have the freedom of creation, the freedom of expression.
Right.
And that, to me, is a very dangerous ideology. It's a very dangerous way of thinking.
Well, we're not in the majority, it seems.
Well, it's not like I'm like a hardcore Confederate either, but I can't appreciate the beauty of something without buying into the politics.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a Confederate or not. It's just like, yeah, of course. In that case, we should fucking blow up the fucking pyramids because they're obviously slave things.
Right. But it's one of those things where it's like, what do these people actually think happened? Are you like walking down the street, you're a perfectly normal person, you pass the statue and it like laser beams racism into your head? Is that what they think is happening? Like you pass the statue of General Lee and all of a sudden you're just like, you know what? Fucking black people, man. Like, is that what they think is happening? Like, I don't understand. Like,
they don't think. That's the thing. They don't think.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a repeat of the more extreme version of like we have to destroy this thing instead of passive aggressively ignore it. Things work better when you're just like, that thing over there is really offensive, and then walk away.
Right.
Like if more people did that, there wouldn't be any problems like that. There wouldn't be these like riots in the streets and tearing down of statues and historical monuments, because some people, like, you can choose to let your life be defined by some sort of historical context, or you can let your life be defined by your own decisions. And sure, you're going to run into assholes. You're going to run into hardships. Everybody does. It's called life. It's literally called the human condition. So when I meet a black person who like walks past a Confederate statue and goes, I don't give a fuck. That wasn't me. I wasn't even alive. I'm going to go do my thing. I have more respect for that black man than a black man who walks by and goes, fucking racist ass, white cracker ass fucking statue. I'm going to tear that thing down. Because that person is letting history define them as they are now instead of their own, and instead of taking responsibility for their own decisions in life.
Yeah. How long is that going to go on? How far do we go back?
Yeah, like what is considered like bad? Like I never understood that. Like the argument that slavery in America was bad. Of course it was fucking bad. And we're still paying for it. Why? Well, it happened recently. What? Okay.
What? Recently? No, it
recently.
Didn't.
It was like 200 years. Now the civil rights still happened within a generation.
I mean, if there's someone still alive during when it happened, I guess we could talk about it. But, slavery? Yeah. No.
Yeah, not slavery. Now, civil rights, yes. But I mean, and I know there's all these like systems that were put into place after the slaves were freed. There was still this, like the Jim Crow era, laws and things like that to keep.
Yeah, we can talk about that because I'm sure there's people alive that still experience that. But there's no one alive that experienced slavery.
Yeah, but that's my question. What's the difference between slavery 200 years ago in America and slavery 1,000 years ago in Europe somewhere?
Probably nothing.
Nothing. There's nobody alive that truly was a slave. So you have to fight the system, sure. Like if a system is truly oppressing you, you have to fight that. But you have to do it in the right way. You can't just cry and be like, they enslaved us, and so therefore, like I think it needs to be a little bit more of a more intellectual argument.
Well, the thing is, I will support anyone who is fighting oppression that is taking place right now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I don't want, I really do want equality. Right?
Right. Everybody does, I think, at least in Western society. I mean, that's what our ideals were founded on. But it's like, name me a culture. Name me one culture who doesn't have slavery in their past at some point.
Yeah, I can't.
Exactly.
I can't name one.
There's fucking none of them. Like, maybe, just maybe, some sort of fucking tribe in the jungle down in like Africa or South America or something might not have grown to a point of actually caring about slavery. But outside of that, most modern civilizations were formed on horrible fucking historical things. Every fucking culture, every race, every country has some sort of horrible shit in their past. We have to learn from that. We have to know it exists, but don't sit there and play up that the reason you're suffering today is because something happened to your ancestors 1,000 years ago. That's stupid.
Yeah.
I get that there are systems that seem a little unfair in this country, and we can have discussions about that. But I really am tired, especially, maybe I'm a little biased because I am white and in the South. I am really, and a lot of people are like me down here in the South. Especially the white people, we're really tired of being blamed for shit we didn't do. Because I wasn't alive.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I am not going to be held responsible for things that happened before I was born.
Yeah.
You want to accuse me for something I did? Then go ahead. Don't accuse me for something someone else did before I was born.
You know what's fucked up? Look at Australia, right? Australia is this incredibly liberal. Everybody knows that, right? Like, there's a lot of shit happening in Australia that's just ridiculous. Identity politics and all this and that. And yet, still to this day in Australia, 1998, the Prime Minister of Australia released gave a rousing speech about the Aboriginal peoples of Australia and guaranteed that was it 1998 or 1988? It was 1988, I think. I have to go back and look. Yeah, it was 1988. But he said in 2 years, by 1990, we would have a treaty guaranteeing rights and privileges equal with the Aboriginal people. And of course, the Aboriginal people praised the prime minister at the time, and they were like, "Yay!" And they did him up a big old tapestry with the printout of the speech in the center of it, with all this beautiful Aboriginal art around it. And it never happened. To this day, they still have yet to sign a treaty with the Aboriginal people, giving them equal rights under the law in Australia. Now, how the fuck do you live in a hardcore liberal identity politics fucking country that is concerned about oppression and women and all this and that and equal rights and, oh my God, men are evil, glass ceiling, wage gap, and you still have not followed up with your prime minister from the 80s who promised a fucking treaty to the Aboriginals? Go fuck yourself, Australia.
What the fuck is that?
Fuck yourself.
What was the treaty supposed to be about?
It was supposed to give them better land rights and more equality under Australian law. It was supposed to bring the people together because the Australians are essentially invaders. I mean, just like all of our countries are based on colonialism. But Australia was like a big prison island that the British and the French just dropped off people on,
Right.
And of course, they fucked up the Aboriginal culture there, And over time, the Australians took over and they brought in infrastructure and built roads and built civilization. But the Aboriginals started to lose their traditions because of it, especially with disease. The white man shows up with fucking smallpox and then people ain't never been exposed to it. It fucking killed half their population, just like the Native Americans. Right. And so you turn around and you introduce an element like that. They were conquered people. They were absolutely, pushed back closer to the inner parts of the island, which is very deserty and fucking wasteland. And now white people finally turn around and go, "Yeah, sorry about that. Let's sign a treaty. Let's give you guys some of your land back and your property rights and things like that. Let's do this." And everybody goes, "Oh yes, finally!" And then the Australian government never follows through with it. Never kept a word of that prime minister.
Wow. Should make a video on that.
Yeah, I'm surprised like somebody like Bering who lives in Australia hasn't already talked about it as a complete hypocrisy of the Australians. They like to get on television and talk about how fucking oppressed women are and how there's like not, you know, they have like days where men pay more for cupcakes at a bakery than women because of the wage gap and all this and that. And they're
Right.
sitting there bitching about their own fucking oppression. And you guys have yet to fucking talk to the government about following through with the fucking treaty of the Aboriginal tribes. Go fuck yourself, Australia. I don't want to hear no liberal, goddamn, crazy, progressive fucking nonsense from you. If I hear one more Australian woman talk about the fucking wage gap instead of the Aboriginal treaties, I'm going to fucking punch my television screen.
Well, that'll happen.
Look at Free Press Kekistan drawing fucking Rufus. Drawing the dragon. Drawing the Rufus.
Oh, it's a dragon.
Rufus is an evil brother, I think.
That's a nice dragon you got there.
Yeah. I want to look that guy's name up too. The prime minister who promised the Aboriginal people a treaty.
Yeah. What was his name?
Australia. It was Bobby something.
Bobby. How you doing, Bobby?
Bob Hawke. That's him.
What?
His name is Bob Hawke.
Bob Hawke.
Yep. It's with an E on the end, but it's, yeah, Bob Hawke.
Wow.
President 3 years later. Let's see. Education, Australian Council of Trade Unions, Member of Parliament, early days, economic policy, social policy, 1984, the 1990 election leadership tensions. Let me Google that. Bob Hawke and Aboriginal Treaty. There it is. Boom. In 1988, as part of the bicentennial celebrations, Prime Minister of Australia Bob Hawke visited the Northern Territory of Burunga Festival, where he was presented with a statement of Aboriginal political objectives by the unpronounceable Aboriginal name of person. It's really long. I can't. I'm sorry. I know that probably sounded incredibly bad, incredibly insensitive, but I'm sorry. But Hawke responded to the Burunga statement with a promise that a treaty would be concluded with the Indigenous Australians by 1990. In 1991, Yathu Yindi were Huey Benjamin on drums, blah, blah, blah. He went with the Gather. Treaty was written by Australian musician. Also, some people made some fucking songs about it. Of course there were. You remember that fucking Beds Are Burning song? You remember that fucking song?
No.
Oh, God. That was all about the giving the Aboriginals back some fucking...
What song was that?
Oh, come on. Beds Are Burning. It was Midnight Oil. Yeah. 1987.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's how do we sleep when our beds are burning? Dun, dun, you know, like
Right.
yeah, that song from the 80s. That was all about giving the Aboriginal people back their lands and rights, you know.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have written it in such fucking code then.
Right. Yeah, like no, well, I mean, he was pretty literal in that song. I mean, one of the lyrics is, "The time has come, a fact's a fact, it belongs to them, let's give it back." I mean, how do you get more?
I don't know. It's like maybe he didn't understand that it was going to be played in other countries.
Yeah,
maybe that was literal in Australia.
Yeah, he made it too catchy and it became a pop song of the 80s. People just look over the message it was sending. But yeah, that like they have yet to really fucking sign a treaty with the Aboriginal people, you know. However, it did create like a music industry and stuff and a lot of protests musically and stuff, but they still haven't fucking, you know. It's the recognition of Aboriginal sovereignty of all Aboriginal lands was the treaty. It was to recognize that they have equal rights and control over their original properties. because they were there first, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not trying to take the high road either, because we did the same thing in fucking America. We were like, hey, let's gather up all the Indians and shove them over here in Oklahoma. Fuck it. You know, like the rest of the country is ours. I mean, we were dicks. Don't get me wrong. History is a horrible fucking place, but I hate this fucking hypocrisy that they don't even. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people pushing to give like the Native Americans their land back, all of it. You know,
Right.
Problem is, so many of them are dead. Like, how do you divide up lands to tribes that don't exist anymore? You know. And the tribes of Indians were warring with each other when we even arrived. You know, I mean, the Sioux Nation was, you know, kicking ass and taking names, and so was the Cherokee and the, you know, the what you call fucking I can't remember. It's getting late, but but yeah, I mean, you know, Choctaw Nation and stuff like that. I mean, there was a lot of other smaller Indian tribes that owned land, and they were just wiped out completely. I mean, they don't even have ancestry, you know. So you know what? I mean, you can't change history. So what do we do? Like, what do we do? I mean, obviously, I think we need to work a little harder on on trying to be a little bit better for the future and stuff. But I mean, you can't just break down an entirely technologically advanced civilization that is one of the world's superpowers just because you want to give all the land back. I mean, where are we supposed to, like, are we supposed to just pack up and go back to Europe? Is that what, like, what are
Yeah,
we supposed
I'm
to do?
sure they'd love to have us.
Right. And that's the blatant hypocrisy. You get people spouting off shit like that, but they're not willing to give up their big fucking, you know, 16-bedroom mansion in Hollywood. You know, they're not going to do that. They're not going to fucking do that.
No, I mean, they were all going to go to Canada if Trump won. So how's that going?
Yeah, right. Apache. That's the one I was like, yes, thank you, Drauga, for the save. Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, like, yeah, that's a good point. You know, Theus says, my wife is Sue. She lives in a regular house in a regular town. Stop trying to fix the past. That's a very good observation. I mean, sometimes you just have to remember the traditions of your people, but at the same time, try to move forward and embrace the world you live in, because there's really no going back. And if you did want to go back, would you? I mean, even if you could go back, would you want to?
No, and exactly that's a good point. I mean, we can't go around talking about what happened in the past. It's like we have to address the things that are wrong right now. That's right. All that's important.
And the past is important because you have to learn from it, but it can't be the basis.
Yeah, but that's just something you learn from.
Right.
You know, that's it.
Yeah, you can't make it the basis of every one of your fucking arguments, you know?
No.
You know, like they say the Confederate flag is the symbol of slavery and oppression, but the American flag is too then.
Yeah.
You know, we fucking oppressed the Native Americans under that flag. There were plenty of slaves during the rise of America as a union and the fight against the British.
Sure, but I guess that's why they are refusing to do the thing with the fucking football and take the knee instead and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a blatant hypocrisy, though, because they're picking and choosing what historical contexts are important to them to fit their narrative. They're not looking at it all, though. And that's stupid. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid to talk about the oppression of slavery and then turn around and not recognize that there were Irish slaves.
Yeah,
just because they were Irish and so therefore they were white. Like, seriously.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
That doesn't fit their fucking narrative. I'm going to go get something to drink. I'll be right back.
All right.
I can still hear you, but I gotta get some liquid libation.
Some liquid libations. All right. How you doing, chat? See what you got going on here.
Sweet tea. I fucking love sweet tea, man. I'm a Southerner.
You are a Southerner, aren't you?
Yeah, God damn it. Don't even get me started.
Ours, our first response here. The chat is doing pretty good, and we're doing pretty good too here. So, thank you, chat.
Yeah.
And Richard Couture, he's the spokesperson for the chat.
Oh, is he? Is that what it is?
Well, that's what it is, I guess.
Yeah, look at Matthew Steinberg. The Chinese built the railroads. Yes, of course. And we can't forget how fucking oppressed they were, too. You know, that was pretty bad. But did the Chinese go, oh, poor me, our ancestors were treated like shit during the railroad days? Hell no. They fucking bogged down, embraced the fucking American dream, opened up businesses, and now they're one of the most fucking Asians are one of the most prosperous fucking cultures in America. Jesus.
Yeah. Did you see that video today from Sargon?
Is that the one about that woman that transgender woman who was like doing the whole England is racist thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I saw that one. Fucking hell, man.
It's like, okay, so I guess you didn't see the actual statistics, asshole.
Right? Yeah,
so,
I love it.
England is a deeply racist country, or whatever she said. No, it's not. Look at this fucking statistics.
The worst thing she said in that video, I mean, I literally lost my shit because I was listening to it in the car while I was driving to school this morning. And I literally just started punching my steering wheel because the one thing that irked me the most out of all the stupid shit they said was he said racism is not learned, it's inherited through privilege.
Through privilege? Is that like genes?
I guess. I don't fucking know. I can't fucking tell anymore. I can't tell where the line is. I can't tell where they're getting their facts from. You know, I can't tell where they're getting these.
I didn't know
ideas.
Privilege was a physical thing that you could sort of pass down through your kids like sperm.
Oh no! I mean, I don't think they were speaking genetically. Privilege is something you can pass down, though. I mean, look at it.
Sure, wealthy kings.
People, yeah, wealthy people pass on their wealth to their kids.
Actual privilege.
Yeah, fucking
actual privilege.
You know,
that is actual privilege.
Sometimes I look at what they're kind of pushing, what their agenda is, and I'm trying to figure out what world do they want to replace this world with. And the only thing I could come close to is some sort of caste system.
Right.
Where if you're born, because of the historical oppression of minorities, if you're born white, you belong in a particular caste and you can never be removed from that caste. It's like what happens in India, you know. And so no matter what, even if you become a doctor that saves lives, you'll still be considered the person from that caste, and you'll be looked down upon, even if you're a brilliant person. That's the problem with the caste system. You can't move from one caste to another because it's based on in India, it's based on Hinduism. It's based on the building their society around this idea of karma. And obviously, if you're born to that caste of people, it's because you did something horrible in your previous life. And so you should be treated like shit.
Right.
You know?
Okay, so we got a super chat. I'm not sure. How do you pronounce that name?
I've been saying skirnt, but I have no idea if that's right.
Skirnt. Okay, that makes sense. Hey, fuckers, give some mad respect to Free Press Kekistan. I think he's right.
Yeah.
Why, thank you.
Look at that
I
dragon.
am going to have to get going, though, because it's like 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's time for you to go pass out there, buddy. It's time
for right.
I'll send you like the pictures I've done of like Magog and Undoomed and Rufus, I guess.
Yeah, you should put that on Twitter. Everyone you can go check it out.
Nice blue whale.
The blue whale.
And there's Undoomed.
Hashtag blue whale. Blue whale.
Yeah, just tag everyone in.
Cool.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for drawing for us while we talked about politics and the hypocrisy of the social leftist elites.
Yeah, you're like the best guest ever.
Not really. I don't talk much.
Well, you draw much.
A picture's worth 1,000 words, I guess.
Exactly. Like the best thing ever.
Cool. Thanks for having me on, and I'll see you guys later.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Well.
Take care.
Later, man. A picture is worth 1,000 words. A picture of a cock is worth 1,000 gags.
Is that what you tell people on Twitter when you send those dick pics?
I guess. I just made that up right now. Sometimes I make up the weirdest shit when I'm tired. Which I shouldn't be tired because I had a fucking nap tonight at like 7:30 and I never nap that late. But man, I was feeling it today. It's probably because I'm still getting over my sickness, you know.
Yeah. What did you get? AIDS?
No, just a cold, man. It's the changing of the weather here. Sinuses are going fucking nuts. One day it's 80 degrees. The next day it's 60. It just can't make up its fucking mind.
Right.
Arkansas is in that weird place in the country where it's like really like there's about a month period in the crossover of from fall to winter that just.
What's your minimum temperature?
Minimum?
Yeah.
I've personally never seen it get below like 20 degrees here in Arkansas. And that's on a really bad cold day. And we usually don't even get those. Those are just like the absolute worst. Most of the time it's like 30, 32.
So you still go below freezing?
Yeah, a little bit. And we get ice storms and stuff too, and some snow now and again. But it's really weird. We'll have some weird years too. Like I remember about maybe 2 or 3 Christmases ago, it was like a terrible ice storm the entire week, all the way till Christmas Eve. It was like freezing cold. There was ice falling from the sky. There was probably an inch of ice on the ground. People were crashing. You couldn't fucking drive anywhere. The power was out. And then Christmas Day hit and it was 60.
Right.
That's how fucking weird Arkansas is. And it's because of where we're at. We get the Gulf Stream up from the Gulf through Texas. So we get that warm air from the south, from Texas.
You part of Tornado Alley or what?
Oh yeah, we're at the very tail end of that, and we get tornadoes pretty bad here. We're right there next to Oklahoma, you know, and tornadoes happen here pretty. In fact, not 2 years ago, there was an F4 that just tore up Mayflower, Arkansas, and even Obama was like national disaster zone. He declared a national disaster zone, got the governor to call in the guard, to help clean up and stuff. I mean, it killed 33 people. You know, that was a big ass tornado too. It was about a mile in diameter.
Remember that show? What was it called? The Tornado Chasers or something?
Yeah, Tornado Chasers, or Tornado Hunters, or whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah, they were basically just playing off the whole like Twister vibe. You know, we're gonna chase after these monster storms. I remember seeing the video of the Mayflower tornado, an F4, solid F4. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and it's like the guy must be miles away from this thing, and you're just looking at it, and the horizon is just black, right? And you're like, man, that's a dark storm cloud. Oh, wait, that whole horizon is the tornado.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you know? As it gets closer.
Serious shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's really bad. Like Mayflower used to never get hit either, and then they built a bypass. A highway bypass around Valonia, and then all of a sudden, because I guess they like chopped down trees and shaved back the hills or something, it like changed the tornado patterns, and so all of a sudden, like these cities that never got hit started getting hit like every year. Like it's really weird.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I have personally lived through 2 tornadoes, and they were not fun.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah. In art, there's a term called the sublime, and it was usually used by painters in the 18th century leading up into the neoclassic period. And the word sublime, in its normal parlance, is just like heavenly happiness or whatever, the way we would use it. Oh, this donut is sublime, you know. Right. But in art terminology, it basically means the beauty of nature overpowering man. like how devastating. So it's kind of like painting something that would be horrible to live through, but it's beautiful to look at. And that's the way I describe tornadoes. Because unless you're in the middle of a tornado, you're not really terrified of them. You're just looking on in awe of Mother Nature's destructive power. But if you're in the middle of that motherfucker, you're not having fun. You're not in awe at all. You're terrified. You're fucking fearing for your life. So there's a sense of the sublime with tornadoes. Like if you're a couple miles away looking at this thing tear up a trailer park and you're just like, oh, those poor people, look at it. Oh my God, this fucking amazing like finger of God, just wiping out these people from existence. This is fucking terrible. I can't turn away. Like there's a certain natural beauty and awe to the terribleness of a tornado.
Well, there's not many things that are more powerful.
No, I mean, even like hurricanes, at least like hurricanes can have the same wind speed as tornadoes sometimes if they're really big, but at least you can see them coming from like days out. Like they know it's coming. They know it's forming. It's heading your way. Get out of town. Tornadoes aren't like that. 1 minute you're sitting there drinking a beer on your front porch. The next minute you're meeting your fucking maker.
Next minute the whole house is sucked up.
And well, actually that's like a stereotype, if you will. It's kind of a tornadoes have such fast winds, they create kind of a vortex. It's when cold air and warm air kind of meet together from the upper atmosphere and the lower atmosphere, which is why we get tornadoes in spring and fall. Because it's that transition period. We're starting to get cold air from the north up in the higher atmosphere, but there's still warm air from the south. And it comes all mixing together and everything. And tornadoes don't suck anything. They blow things apart.
Okay.
But because of the vortex that's created, you'll see a debris field going around and around this tornado, but it doesn't suck shit up. It blows it apart like a fucking explosion. I've seen a tornado hit a house and it didn't pick that fucking house up and launch it somewhere. No, it didn't suck that house up. It blew it apart, like just destroyed it. It's a fucking force to be reckoned with. Now, the reason that's a stereotype is there is this illusion of it sucking things up, because that wind speed does create this vortex that will pick things up and just kind of spin it around. But ultimately, when a tornado hits something, it just blows it apart. It's like the big.
I guess it's that movie Twister as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. Don't get me wrong, you can get kind of sucked into it if it's something small like a human being, like that scene in that movie where they tie themselves to that fucking anchor point, that pipe in the ground, and they get to go inside the tornado, and they're kind of getting pulled up. That is what happens, but it's not sucking necessarily, as more as just you're being caught up in the force of the vortex, and but something like a house or a barn or something doesn't get sucked up. It gets blown to pieces, but like maybe a single solid object might get sucked up and then thrown somewhere. That does happen with people. There have been people who've been sucked up by a tornado and tossed into the fucking, a mile down the road, and they ended up living, and they were like, whoa, where's my shoes? But you got to think of the force of that. I mean, you get a tornado with 800 mile per hour winds in a single tiny space, in that single tiny vortex. It's like, Jesus, that's a force to be reckoned with. It's just a monster.
Yeah. That movie was so powerful, though. Even though it's kind of a sucky movie now. Oh yeah, but yeah, it was cool back then.
Oh yeah, I love that old. We got cows.
Oh yeah,
we got cows.
All right, we got a super chat here from Jables Boogly. Thank you. He's saying, I've been battling a cold, and this stream has been nice and relaxing for me. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Well, we're here to help. We're your cold therapists. So anything we can do, we'll do.
You know what I love about like being from Arkansas and being from America, and especially the South, where we get these really interesting weather patterns, is when I was in England for 5 years, I talked to English civilians and how, you always get the stereotype. It's always raining in England. And in a sense, that's true.
Right.
But it's not like rain how you and I might think about it here in America. It's more like just a constant mist. I can't remember a single fucking thunderstorm, like actually hearing thunder or seeing lightning. It's just a constant mist, very light rain. But it's constant, so it does definitely feel like you just constantly have to.
Isn't it more like overcast?
Oh, yeah. You hardly ever see the sun in England. I mean, I counted one time. My first year in England when I was there, I had a calendar and I'd mark which days were actually sunny. And there was like 78 days out of the year that I saw sunshine. 78 out of 300. And, right. It's like, Jesus Christ. But I was talking to an English civilian there that I worked with, and he said that England has more tornadoes per landmass than any other country in the world. And I was like, that can't be fucking right. I'm from Tornado Alley, goddammit. So I got online and I looked it up, and it turns out it was true. But the thing is, when they say tornado, what they call a tornado in England, we call a fucking dirt devil. Okay? Just because you got little vortexes that pick up the leaves and toss them around a little bit doesn't mean you got fucking tornadoes, you bastards. Like, they tried to trick me. So I went back into the shop the next day and was like, you fucking liars.
Yeah. That's not a tornado. This is a tornado.
Yeah, like I literally would pull up footage from like tornadoes from Arkansas and show them on YouTube on the computer in the break room. And the English civilians were like, fuck that, I'd never live there. Like, once they saw what a real tornado fucking looked like, fucking hell. Like, I remember playing in Dust Devils when they'd go down the street. I was a kid.
They have those things on Mars.
Yeah, just little.
Yeah, it's like you know all these movies when they have the fucking tornadoes on Mars, right?
Right.
And you're like, okay, those things can't even hurt you, and they certainly can't kill you. It's on Mars. You assholes.
Well, yeah, you have to physically be there, but the problem is
No. I mean, the worst tornado ever on Mars can't hurt you.
Really?
Yeah.
I always thought it was the opposite.
No, because the atmosphere is so light.
Yeah, but I thought that's because it's a desert planet. The reason that storms are pretty deadly is because it tosses all that sand around, and it's like sand blasting fucking everything.
No, it's completely harmless. The worst thing it can do is sort of dust up your solar panels.
Well, I wouldn't say completely harmless, but it's definitely less harmless than like a hurricane on Earth. Like, from what I'm reading here, I just wanted to look it up just to see, and it said the strongest storm tops out at only about 60-mile-per-hour winds.
Right.
Now, that's still a force to be reckoned with. Don't get me wrong; that'd blow a car off a road.
No,
that would.
It wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, you got to think about speed. Not a car sitting still, but a car driving. You could easily lose control in 60-mile-per-hour winds. Because of how, like, have you ever driven a car in like 30-mile-per-hour winds? You feel your car fucking move. A
car is designed to move in those speeds.
Yeah, some speeds. I mean, you get sideswiped by a 60-mile-per-hour gust. It'll put you off the road if you're not fucking holding onto your steering wheel right. I mean, it's not going to flip it off the road and send you crashing or anything, but it'll move your fucking car. But that's not deadly at all, really.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because that's just measuring the speed.
Yeah, that's the speed of winds. Now, what about tornadoes on Mars?
Right. Okay. No, but hold on. That's just the speed. We're talking about the speed of the atmosphere on Earth. The speed of the atmosphere on Mars weighs less. So it's not going to have the same effect. If you get hit by 60 miles an hour winds on Mars, it's not going to have the same effect.
Yeah, but you got to understand, because of their gravity is lighter, you can actually move faster. And so 60 mile per hour on Mars could fuck you up because of the lesser gravity.
So you could go wee.
Yeah, you can fly off, because you're the lesser gravity.
That's bullshit.
You know? Yeah, but like I said, it's still not going to really hurt you. But like if you're in a spacesuit and you get hit by a 60 mile per hour gust on Mars, because of the lighter gravity, you might fly a little further, but it's not going to be like, oh my God, it took his suit apart. It's not a sandblaster.
The movies are so stupid with that. It's like, oh my God. It's like obviously because the gravity is so low, it's going to look scary.
Yeah, because it's picking up all that dust,
Yeah, so they take that aspect of it, and then they make it that scary, and it looks like it's the hugest fucking thing, like you wouldn't believe back in Oklahoma or Arkansas or whatever. Right. And it's no, it would just be harmless. You could just stand there and go, hello.
Yeah. Well, Cracked says, Magog Morskar, the density of the atmosphere reduces the force developed. And that's exactly what I said. With less dense, there'd be more force on you.
Does that apply to less dense people?
Well, yeah. Well, it depends on if you're talking about mass or weight. They're totally different things. Like your weight can change based on gravity, but your mass doesn't change.
Okay, you totally missed a point.
Oh, you're talking about dense as in fucking retarded. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, they can be heavy and dense. That's true.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I thought we were still
fat ass and dumbass. All right. Okay.
I thought we were still talking about science, but yeah, no, I mean, if there's less density, then there's potential for more, for less of a gravitational force to hold you down. So if a gust of wind hits you,
I mean, there probably are dust devils on the moon as well, but the atmosphere is so light that we can't even see it.
I don't think the moon has an atmosphere because it doesn't even rotate.
No, it does. No, it has an atmosphere, but it's so light that it's pointless, basically. It's so light that it's But I do know that it has a slight atmosphere because anything with gravity would have.
Not sure if that's entirely true. You could be right. It's been a while since I've studied physical science. Which deals with
Show me anything that doesn't.
Asteroids. There's asteroids the size of our moon. They don't have atmospheres.
Well, we typically say that the moon doesn't have an atmosphere, but it does.
I thought in order to have an atmosphere, you had to have an electromagnetic field that would hold
No, absolutely not.
That's interesting. You got a super chat.
Right. Okay. Jim Harold. I drove in 80 miles per hour in an 80 miles per hour windstorm, no problem.
Yeah, I'm not debating that. I'm just saying, it also depends. Like I'm a little biased when I talk about driving in high winds because I was a trucker, and so when you drive something that has that wide of like if you're hauling a trailer and a gust of wind hits you, you can feel that fucking thing. I mean, I lived in England and sometimes they'd get 40 mile per hour winds that would tip lorries over,
right,
as they're driving down the highway. Now, if they're sitting still, there's no movement. They're less likely to get tipped over from a 40 mile per hour gust. But if you're driving across the bridge when you hit the ocean and that 40 mile per hour wind hits you as you're traveling, it sideswipes you, man. It'll cause you to fishtail. It'll cause you to fucking jackknife your trailer too if you're not careful. But driving a car, shit, the cars are aerodynamic, low to the ground. I mean, you'll feel it. Don't get me wrong. An 80 mile per hour wind will rock your car a little bit, but you can drive in it no problem.
That's not what you said before.
Yeah, that's it. I said you could feel it move your car. If you don't have a good handle on your wheel, you can get pushed off the road from a good gust of wind. But you got
right. But the more important thing is you got to figure this thing out. There are certainly planets that don't have magnetic spheres that have.
Yeah, I was 100% wrong on that. I was thinking about the rotation of planets and the rotating core inside of planets creating an electromagnetic field that kind of helps hold an atmosphere in place.
No, that's not
But,
what they do. That's not what a magnetic field does.
well, I can't remember. Does magnetic fields hold the atmosphere in
They
place?
protect us from the sun.
They protect us from solar radiation. That's
right.
what it is. Okay. Yeah, see, I was just confused because, like I said, it's been a couple years since I've taken physical science. I'm not at all trying to say that I'm a fucking scientist at all. Like,
no, neither am I. I just,
yeah.
I'm just sort of, I got a fetish for it.
Yeah, me too, a little bit. I like to look up interesting facts and stuff, but we're just having a fun conversation. I don't want anybody to watch the stream later and be like, "Oh,
of course,
what's wrong? Oh my God, he's not a scientist."
No, of course, we're just fucking around.
Yeah, there's another $2 super chat there. Jables
Boogly says, "Okay, you want to read it?"
Yeah, I just thought we'd take turns now and again. When driving a truck, you might as well have a sail. He is absolutely right about that.
Yeah. Could you build like a sail truck?
I don't think that would be very smart. Plus the weight of a truck. God, you wouldn't get it lifted off the ground. But
no, I mean like a sail, like a sailboat. A sailboat could sail, right?
Well, yeah, they have land sailers.
Exactly. So could you put that on a truck? Would that work?
Who knows? So you have to get.
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying, would it work?
Yeah, you have to call it MythBusters. I'd imagine if it works.
Exactly. Fuck, I wish that show was still on.
If it's windy enough, I can't imagine why it wouldn't work at least a little bit. You might not really get up to speed because of the weight of the vehicle, but like when I was driving in Iraq, I was hauling a Connex, a 40-foot shipping container. That's what a Connex is. And so that gave me a nice broad side. And I was driving through, we were on our way back to Kuwait and we hit Dirty Tampa. Dirty Tampa is this long highway that goes from basically Baghdad all the way to K-Cross, Kuwait border.
Right.
And man, we hit a sandstorm and the wind, man, that almost took my fucking trailer off the road, dude. That was fucking... I was jackknifing all over the place. But, to be fair, too, I also kind of burned my brakes out. So, because you don't have a lot of control on those trucks like you would a traditional truck. You can't double clutch shift and downshift and stuff because the trucks the military uses in convoy situations are all automatic. They're automatic.
Right.
So even though they're these big cargo trucks, there's these big, freight trucks. There's no kind of controlling it. So you use your brake more with an automatic than you would with a clutch. And so I'd hauled enough weighted shit on my trailer that mission to just burn my fucking brakes down every time, like I remember hauling a tank back on my 40-foot.
But on the plus side, you probably would have fucked up your clutch if you had one.
No, because I would have double clutched down and let the engine slow the truck down. But once you burn your brakes out, how are you going to stop? I was using the fucking Jake brake to stop.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like if you had a clutch, you'd burn it out. Because
no.
That's what always happens to me.
How the fuck how are you shifting? Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I don't like fucking sticks.
Well, shifting a car is different than shifting a truck because you have to double clutch in a truck because you have to rev your RPMs. The engine doesn't do it for you.
Well, maybe they should just put in an automatic.
A lot of trucks nowadays are going because the technology on automatic transmissions have gotten so good. A lot of trucks, I can imagine in about a decade, maybe two, we'll have there won't be Freightliner trucks on the road that even have shift.
How about that don't have drivers?
There is that too. Like a lot of people have been talking about, destroying the truck driving industry by just making it automated.
That's what it's looking like, right? I mean,
we'll eventually get there in society, regardless.
They're about to launch driverless cars, obviously.
Yeah, I think driverless cars is more dangerous than just driverless like cargo containers. I think it would be, at least because you're not carrying passengers, if there is an accident, at least hopefully nobody dies. But with like driverless cars, I don't know if I want to trust a computer. But then again, I'm old school. I love to drive. I love to be in control of the
Well,
vehicle.
I do too, but it's going to happen.
Eventually, yeah. Have you ever thought of what the world's going to look like when we're 60? You know?
No.
Yeah, because like I talk to my parents sometimes. They're just like,
Don't want to
back
think
when they
about
were
that.
back when they were teenagers in the like fucking early 70s and shit, they were like, there was no way they could ever imagine a world where they walked around with a small computer in their pocket. Now look at them. My parents have fucking Twitter. You know?
I know, but the thing is, it happens so slowly, you don't even notice it, right? There are certainly things that you could think of from your childhood that are just the same.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, within even that's how fast technology is moving, that even within our generation, we've seen so much changes in technology, it's almost hard to keep up with.
Right. And
You know,
they do say that, like, you remember, I'm sure you've heard this, but the amount of information we take in a day today is the equivalence of the amount of information that a person in the 1800s would have taken in a lifetime.
Yeah. Yep. That's fucking crazy to think about. Like they had to sit down and go to like the local library and read books if they weren't rich enough to have a library in their house.
Right. And they had fucking newspapers come out every week, which was like one thing. It wasn't like there wasn't pages. It was just one thing. Here's the newspaper. It's one page. All right.
Exactly. Well, the printing press definitely changed the course of history because it suddenly allowed even the common person to read. Because you didn't have to like handwrite these books in order to make copies of them. Books before the printing press was invented, books were for the wealthy, the rich.
Right.
Unless there was unless you were lucky enough to live in a civilization.
That's why I like paperbacks.
Yeah, yeah. And here I thought the Kindle would kill traditional like books, but apparently people still just love the crack of a spine of a new book and the smell of the pages and holding the book in your hand.
Well, some smart guy said this, like if you were to introduce a book today, it would be the most revolutionary product ever because it stores all this information. It doesn't require charging. It lasts forever, and it weighs next to nothing. As a paperback. Right?
Yeah, that's one paperback. Obviously, you've never moved house with like boxes of paperbacks. They get heavy. They get heavy.
I have, but it's still kind of a good invention. And I certainly prefer paperbacks to Kindle shit.
Yeah, me too. I still really enjoy traditional media. Skirn says they didn't have a library or newspapers. LOL. I don't know if that's a question or if he's making a statement, but they back in the 1800s, they most certainly did have libraries in cities. Like obviously, if you were out in the fucking frontier old west, you didn't have a library. But if you were in London, there was a massive public library in London. Libraries go all the way back to fucking Babylon,
Alexandria, and all that.
Yeah, fucking. But until the printing press made it available to where like that's how the Reformation of the Catholic Church came around. That's how Reformation came around was because people could finally read the Bible.
Right.
They didn't have to just take the word of their priest or whatever. And when people started interpreting the Bible their own way, you started getting branch offs of the religion. That's where the Protestants came from and everything. It was
that must have pissed off the priests. Jesus.
Well, a big part of the Reformation too was people looking at the greed and the utmost wealth of the Catholic Church and really being pissed at it. Like here we are starving in the streets, and this fucking church has like gold and animals and like land, and like they were really pissed at at just the greed of the Catholic Church,
They were really pushing their luck.
Yeah. Now Calvinists and stuff started rising up too, and that was fucking weird.
Yeah, what about that the British guy Henry, right? Henry V? right?
Henry VIII. He was part of. Yeah,
was it the eighth? I don't know. It was a
Yeah.
Henry. He was like, okay, I want to divorce my wife. No, you
That's
can't.
Henry VIII.
All right,
Yep.
fuck off. You're gone. You're
Yep.
out of here.
Yeah, Henry. That was Henry. He wanted to divorce Catherine,
Right.
and the Catholic, because he felt bad. I mean, it was his brother's wife. His brother died. She swore that they never laid together, and so that the marriage was legit. But of course, it wasn't. I mean, obviously, she fucked her, or fucking his brother on the fucking wedding night. But when his brother died and he ascended the throne, they wanted to maintain a relationship with Spain, because Catherine of Aragon was from Spain, and they didn't want a war. So they were like, just marry her. God damn it, just do it. Well, it eventually started weighing on his conscience. He's like, the Bible says thou shalt not, lay with your brother's wife and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, he wanted to bang the shit out of Anne Boleyn. That's what it really was. He wanted to marry her. And so, honestly, like, Catherine didn't want to accept the divorce. She died still asserting that she was the Queen of England. But Henry really wanted a divorce. He asked the Pope. The Pope said no, because they realized what would happen if they broke that treaty with Spain. And when the Pope said no, Henry was like, "Fuck it, I'll make my own church." Where the king is the head of the church, not the Pope. And so, like, he was one of those people that God gave me this right to rule, not the Pope. And that really pissed off the Catholics. And
you think?
the Reformation happened in England, and it was its own kind of Reformation, unlike the Protestant religions that were rising up in Germany and stuff. With Martin Luther. With Lutheranism and all that stuff, he just kind of created the Church of England, which was basically, in ceremony, it was Catholicism, but in practice, it was Protestantism. So basically, it's like, oh, we still have the big churches, we still have the people wearing the robes and the funny hats and reading and having mass and all that stuff, but then they would allow for divorces and things like that. It was a little bit more relaxed. And England went through a tumultuous time with the Tudors. Like, they really, like, it was Catholic Church of England, Catholic Church of England, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he had 6 wives.
Busy guy.
Yeah, busy guy, definitely busy guy. And he was a very strange and eccentric king of England. He's one of the most interesting of the world. I could probably write tons of reports on the King of England, Henry VIII. The last of the Tudors was his daughter Elizabeth, obviously, because she never married. She was the Virgin Queen. Now, I don't think she really was a virgin. She probably had plenty of guys that she had lovers, but she never married. She never took a king,
right? And
she was the last of the Tudors. Now, she had to fight her sisters for the throne. Mary was, goddamn, there was a reason she was called Bloody Mary. She was hardcore Catholic like her mother, because Mary was the first daughter of Henry with Catherine of Aragon. And so she was Spanish, and Spanish or Catholic. And holy crap. She literally, like, slaughtered thousands of Protestants when she took the throne. And Elizabeth had to come and take the throne from her. It was fucking crazy, man.
Sounds like a nice lady.
Yeah, there was a queen that basically Edward, Henry's only son, died very young, but he was old enough to where he was very sickly, and he only made it to like the age of 17. But he was king, and when he died, the English, in order to maintain Protestantism, they tried to say that his closest, like, I guess, the girl that was closest to him was going to be the new queen, even though they were never officially married. And she was known as the 7-day queen, because she was crowned and she was queen for only 7 days. And why 7 days? Because it took 7 days for Mary to travel from Scotland to England. And that was it. She killed everybody. She fucking murdered everybody.
She came down there. What the fuck's going on? Cut the head off that bitch.
Yep, exactly. So Henry's 6 wives, if I can remember right, were Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn. Then there was, oh shit, it's been a while. There was Anne of Cleves, which was the only, I think, the only queen that Henry was just like, listen, if you divorce me, I'll give you a house and I will name you officially the king's own sister. And she said, sure, because she looked at Anne Boleyn and the others and was like, a lot of queens dying. I don't want to be one of them. So because she was so willing to divorce the king and say to the court, we never slept together, we never consummated the marriage, he was so grateful to her that he actually made her a part of his family. And Anne of Cleves was very interesting. And the reason he didn't like her is because she was from Germany and they'd never met. And so
she was basically a Nazi.
No, what they would do is they would send portraits, and an artist would paint a portrait, and then they'd go and present it to the king, and he'd be like, "Oh, she has fine features. Yeah, let's do this." It was the first Tinder date. Swipe right, swipe left, And so he gets this little portrait. Well, of course, the German princes kind of wanted this alliance with England, so they had the artist kind of paint Anne of Cleves a little bit more pretty than she was in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Because the king. So when he agreed
photoshopped her.
Yeah, basically. And so he thought she was very fine and had fine features and really pretty. And then she showed up. He agreed to the marriage. She showed up, and the day she showed up, she walked down the gangplank of the ship. And as she walked down, she unveiled herself, and the king, in front of everybody, was like, "This woman has a horse face." He literally he didn't give a fuck. He didn't say it in private. He didn't go, "Oh my God," he was just like, "Nope, this woman has a horse face." Yes. But, so Anne of Cleves, what was there was a couple Annes. There was Anne Boleyn, Anne of Cleves, and shit. I'm going to have to look it up. It's been so long. Henry VIII's wives.
Interesting.
I used to know. Yes, I saw the chat. The bitching witch, Jane, the Lady Jane Grey was the 7 Days Queen. Yes, thank you. Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn. His third wife, Jane Seymour, was the only one to give him a son, Prince Edward, and and she died after giving birth to him.
Suspicious.
Yeah, he actually loved the hell out of her because she gave him a son, and that is why she is the only queen that's buried with Henry. She is the only one of the wives because she was the only one to give him a son. Now,
right.
Prince Edward died, and they tried to give the crown to the Lady Jane Grey, and of course she was all like, "Yay, I'm queen." Mary showed up. "No, you're not. Die." And then there was Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. That was the last one. Yeah. And Catherine Parr was really she was a reformer at heart. And he was so later in life that he just didn't really bother trying to find another wife. And he actually kind of cared for her. And she actually was the one that kind of fixed his relationship with all his kids, Mary Elizabeth. And because when he divorced Catherine of Aragon, he sent Mary off with her to just fucking live in exile, basically. And it was Catherine Parr who kind of got him to talk to his children again.
Right.
She was actually a good woman, Catherine Parr. But shit, fuck. Now the one that was a total whore was Catherine Howard. She was young. She was like 18. She was having an affair with Thomas Culpeper. She was a little, she was one of the ones he beheaded. Now he only killed 2 of them, Catherine Howard and Anne Boleyn. He only beheaded 2 of them. Yeah.
Oh, well, he's a good guy. Like only.
Well, that's speaking to the I don't know. There's some sort of belief that he had all his wives beheaded or something, and that's just not true. But he did divorce a lot of them. He divorced more of them, or they died from natural causes more than he executed them. But Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard were both executed.
Right.
Anne of Cleves became the queen's own sister, and she was the one that was like, "Oh God, this woman sucks." Like, her picture lied to me. She's a catfish. And he definitely he was a sucker for redheads. He definitely was. Anne Boleyn had red hair.
Wasn't he a redhead?
Kind of, yeah. He was kind of kind of scruffy. I think he was more of he had like kind of a dirty blonde beard, according to most of his portraits. No, one of his portraits kind of shows him with like redder beard, but then others show him as kind of a darker beard. So really, who knows, right? But
yeah, I guess they photoshopped.
Yeah, but he definitely had a lot of, like, he was young and handsome, but he definitely lived such a decadent life that by the end he was a fat, sweaty, ugly man.
Oh, he was that guy from Dune.
Yeah, exactly. And he had this, when he was jousting, he had an injury when he was younger, and when he was jousting later on in life, he got knocked from a horse and it reopened the wound on his leg. And it never really healed, and they didn't know why. And it would grow a cyst, and it would stink. It would smell like like death. It would smell like pus, and it was like bleeding, and it caused him a lot of pain. And they basically had to purge the cyst every couple days, like every couple weeks. It would form and it would boil up, and then they'd poke it with a fucking steel rod and bleed it out. And he was very unattractive at the end. He had all kinds of health problems, and
right. Well, I'm so glad we could figure that out.
Yeah, Henry VIII is definitely one of the more interesting of English kings. Next to, I think Edward Longshanks is an interesting king. Edward the First. He was the king during the Scottish, William Wallace Revolution.
Right.
But unlike the movie Braveheart that just paints him as like an evil fucktard, which, don't get me wrong, he probably was. I mean, he did not like the Scots, but he was actually a brilliant military leader. And the reason he earned the name Longshanks is because he was apparently so tall that even when he rode a horse, his feet almost touched the ground.
Yeah. Okay. That's probably bullshit.
Yeah, it's exaggerated, obviously. But you got to think back then, the average height of a male was probably like 5'4". So if this guy was like 6'3", they would have seen him as a giant.
Right. Right.
And that's been proven too, that the average height of males and females both have increased since the Industrial Revolution, when we started actually being able to mass produce a lot of food in Western countries and stuff. Because you can go to these castles and stuff in England, and the doorways are fucking short. You're like, how do people, like, you go to a museum and see a suit of armor, and you're like, what kind of tiny midget was wearing this suit of armor? Like, I have seen suits of armor that were like, what is this guy, 4'8"? So, I think it had something to do with the amount of food people ate and everything like that. And obviously, maybe it even has something to do with a lot of like modern food having a lot of, the animals have steroids and injected in them to make them fatter and bigger before they slaughter them and stuff. And that could have very well affected us. But you got to think about relative things like that, like David and Goliath's story, with how short people were on average back in those ancient times. Somebody born with giantism that made them 7 foot tall would appear to them as a giant.
Oh yeah, especially if they were 5 foot.
Right, like you have a bunch of Chris Ray guns running around, and all of a sudden Dieter Lucum shows up. He's going to be Goliath,
We've all seen the picture.
We've all seen the picture of Dieter Lucum standing next to Chris Ray gun. He looks like he just crawled out of a fucking mech robot. Like, that's
Yeah, Dieter better not get hungry. It's like that's not going to end well.
Yeah, Theus Ixion. We were talking more about the movie Dune, where he was like an ugly, wart-faced, but obviously the movie Dune from the 80s embellished the original books. In fact, I've heard that the made-for-TV movie was actually closer to the book. But I haven't read the first Dune book since I was like 12, so you have to forgive me that my knowledge of the Dune.
Okay, what was the difference between the TV and the movie version?
A lot. One, it was a longer runtime, so they can tell an actual like better background of all the politics between the planets and stuff. And two, the movie had a style to it, like a stylized kind of science fiction, kind of dark and gritty. But like the space aliens that make the ships travel through space time in order to like basically control in hyperspace their ships, did not look like giant vaginas. Okay, not in the books. There was a lot of embellishment, but it was such a cool movie. Who cares? Like I know it was nothing like the book, but still, it was such a cool movie. That 1980s Dune movie with fucking Patrick Stewart.
I'm gonna have to cut you off there because that was not a cool movie. That was a sucky movie. Come on.
No, it was fucking cool, man. I loved it.
Oh, I hated it. I wanted to shoot that movie in the head.
Oh man, I fucking love that movie. That shit was fun. It was a fun movie. Giant fucking worms. Fucking Patrick Stewart with hair.
Fucking, he's fucking Captain Picard. The hell's he doing in there?
He had fucking hair. It was before.
Dude.
He is the Quasar Hatterack. Ah! Blue eyes. The spice must flow.
I hate that movie. I didn't bring that up to suggest it was a good movie. No, you shouldn't watch that. All right. No one watched that movie.
I just, like I said, it's a visual thing for me. I realize that the plot is incredibly convoluted, but visually, from the 80s, I mean, those effects were amazing for the 80s. I mean, it was fucking
No,
awesome.
they weren't. They sucked.
No, they were. They were fucking
Jesus
awesome.
Christ. That was after Star Wars. Come on.
We can agree to disagree. Just because someone doesn't do it exactly like Star Wars, there still was a very interesting style to it. It was the visual.
Of course, we can agree to disagree. We're not going to start a fight over it.
The visual style of the film kind of tells its own story. The work they put into it and everything, especially with such a low budget, is pretty impressive. But it once again, it kind of falls under those movies that are a little bit more nostalgic to me than they are good, like actual good movies. Now, I have heard they want to remake the Dune films, but
yeah. I mean, I thought the TV series was kind of a remake.
It was, but now it's been so long because that came out in like 2004 or something. Now I guess they feel like they can update it, with the better CGIs and stuff, because it was like a sci-fi channel made for TV type of film. So it was good, but it wasn't, you could go back and watch it and go, yay. Look at these cheesy TV graphics,
Right.
Got yourself a super chat there.
Yep. Red Royals. Waking up to Undum and Magog chatting. Good start to a Saturday morning. It is indeed.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much for your super chat.
Yes, hashtag sandworms fuck shit up. Yes, they do.
And they look like dicks.
They do. Tremors did it better. I fucking love Tremors. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I fucking love that movie. I love Kevin Bacon's List.
I don't remember the movie, but I remember it was kind of funny. I don't
definitely
remember it at all, but I remember I enjoyed it.
Yeah, they definitely had comedy relief in that, especially with Bert, the guy who fucking was like conspiracy theorist, had 10,000 guns in his basement, made his own bullets. That shit was fucking Bert was great. Fucking love Bert. I love Kevin Bacon's List. When he finds out the new scientist in the area is a girl, he's like, that's supposed to be a girl, goes driving off road, and he's like, you will have long blonde hair, big green eyes, world-class breasts, ass that won't quit, and legs that go all the way up. Then he stops the truck and she's like a complete opposite of what he just described. And he just has this like defeated look on his face.
I don't remember that, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Go back and watch Tremors, man. That's a good one. It's a good one. And it had that country music singer in it. What was her name? She was Bert's wife. Shit. I'd know her name as soon as I see it. Let's see. Reba. Yeah, Reba McEntire has it. No, she was in the first one. She by the sequel, Bert had divorced his wife, and he was living alone, and he had a giant tremor mounted on the wall of the head of he had like a deer, and he had like an elk. It was like going up. It was like the bigger the animal. It started off as like a rabbit, and then there was a deer, and then there was an elk, and then there's this giant tremor head just stuffed on his wall. What's funny is that they're not called tremors. That's the name of the movie, but they're called graboids.
Okay.
They were coined by Chan, the store owner. He was the Chinese guy that was from fucking Three Ninjas, the uncle, and he's the one who coined the phrase, and then they ate him.
Right.
Yeah. What was that guy's fucking name, man? Is he still alive? He was in Big Trouble in Little China. He's a little wizard dude. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. The guy with the scraggly beard.
Yeah. Tremors. Let me look up his name. Because is he still alive? Fucking hell, he might be dead. Where's Chan at? The Beck, Grimmer. There it is, Chang. Victor Wong. That's his name. Died September 12th, 2001, age 74. So, yeah, he's dead. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. He was in The Golden Child, too. I remember that Eddie Murphy film. You remember
that? Yeah.
I remember that.
That was a stupid movie.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was kind of ridiculous. My brother Noomsy. He goes walking in with that knife. He's like, my brother Noopsy. The dude turns into a demon. He's like, I can see you're busy. I'll be back. I'll come back later.
Yeah, Charles Dance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Charles Dance. Yeah. He's always a bad guy, man. Charles Dance is always a bad guy. Fucking Last Action Hero. He's got the bullseye for a glass eye,
Except for Alien. Like Alien 3, right?
Yeah, that's right. He was the doctor at the penal colony.
Yep.
He was actually a good dude. But I mean, you can't be the bad guy anyway when the bad guy's basically a monster. Like the alien was the villain, obviously.
Well, except for that last Alien movie.
Well, yeah, you had fucking what's his name that played the voice of Chucky. He was like the mad scientist who was trying to fucking
No, I mean the one that just came out.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. I thought you were talking about Resurrection. That one with like Sigourney Weaver makes a comeback 200
Oh, but that's not really an Alien movie.
Yeah,
that was just some parody thing they did.
Brad Dourif, he was the bad guy in that. Brad Dourif.
Yeah. But that was a parody movie.
Yeah, it was shit. That was a shit film. Had Winona Ryder in it. She was a synthetic.
Yeah, I'm sure she was. I'm sure she is.
She is a synthetic.
I'm sure she is.
When she was up on stage during the Stranger Things speech where the guy was all fucking, we will punch Nazis in the face, and she was like all wide-eyed and shit. That was her programming going fucking haywire. Like, she looked like she did a little too much cocaine that day.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Stranger Things, the new season of Stranger Things is out in 6 days, and I am interested in seeing it. But after watching the speech from the actors and the director and everything all up on stage talking about how fucking Nazis are taking over and Trump is an evil person, I'm worried that they're going to interject politics into the fucking show.
Yeah, probably are.
So I'm like, kind of like, I really loved Stranger Things. It was the actors themselves that kind of like made me weary about the future of it, so I'm going to give it a shot, but I swear to God, if they keep putting that shit into fucking television shows, I'm going to fucking just abandon fucking Hollywood altogether. They keep fucking up, man.
Yeah.
They always got to do this shit. They've always got to interject some sort of fucking shitty ideology in as a plot device that doesn't even belong there. And I hate the hypocrisy of the people who fucking think like they're just co-opting everybody's hobbies. I hated that article that came out with the new Star Trek, and they were like, finally a strong black captain. And it's like, did you guys never watch fucking Deep Space Nine? Like,
that pissed me off. That pissed me the fuck off. They're like, finally a black captain. First of all, she's not a captain. Secondly, they put her in jail. You know, aren't you supposed to be progressive? Aren't we supposed to put black people not in jail? Okay. But apart from that, have you ever seen Deep Space Nine, you asshole? Like,
yeah, fucking Cisco, man. Come on.
come
Jesus.
on. The motherfucking pimp hand of Cisco. You've never seen the pimp hand?
That dude was fucking hardcore too. He was, in many ways, he was more hardcore than fucking Picard, because there were some times where he was just like, fuck the rules, kill them.
Yeah.
You know, like he was just like, kill them.
What do you mean? Sometimes he was always more hardcore than Picard. Picard was a fucking pussy.
Well, yeah, Picard was definitely more diplomatic, but what I'm talking about, it wasn't every episode. But there were those situations where he's just like, fuck it, we're at war, kill them. You know, like it was like, yes, he's a badass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was every episode where that thing came up.
Well, yeah, because it was all about the war. It's been a while since I've seen Deep Space Nine. I've been meaning to go back and watch it again.
Well, I have, and you know, Picard was always like, "Yeah, let's talk. Let's have the psychologist come in here and we'll talk, and then
he was diplomatic.
Let's have like the counselor. That's good because we need counselors, right?"
Except in First Contact, where he was like, "No, the line must be drawn." Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that was the movie version.
Yeah. There are 4 lights. 4 lights.
Yeah. Well, you know, that was still kind of not so good. Because we all know that if that was Cisco, he would have ate that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking metaphorically. He would have ate him because he was hungry.
Yeah, he would have ripped his heart out and ate it to absorb his power.
Yep.
and I love.
Do you want to know the best part about Cisco?
What's that?
The best part is that pretty much everyone auditioned for that role. So he didn't get the role, the job because he was black. He just got it because he was the best guy for the job.
Right.
They weren't like setting out to do like, let's do a progressive show with a black guy. No, they just, okay, let's bring a bunch of actors in here and see who's the best guy. And he was the best guy. So he got the job. That's the way it should be.
Right. Yeah.
Go fucking Google it, because there are some fucking serious actors that auditioned for that role.
Yeah, and he beat them all out, and it wasn't because he was black. Now, of course, that was also made before this like mass movement of social justice ideology. You know, Don't get me wrong, Hollywood's always been a little progressive.
Sure.
You know,
and it's fine when you do it that way. You know.
Yeah. Now
you figured out who's the best guy, and then you hire that guy.
I don't know if your audience knows this, but the black Vulcan in Voyager, Tuvok, the actor who played him was the black dude holding the fucking pick in Spaceballs that was like, "We ain't found shit." That's same fucking actor.
I know.
And so every time I watch an episode of Voyager and I see Tuvok come on, I just yell out in my fucking bedroom. You know, I'll be sitting here in my living room just going, "We ain't found shit, Captain." I really wish he could have pulled that off on the show just as a joke. Like maybe they had some alien virus that made him more human just for one day, just so Janeway could be like, what does the scanner say, Tuvok? And "We ain't found shit."
That would have been awesome, but with Jerry Taylor, probably not.
No, obviously. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I was really kind of disappointed with Voyager. It was kind of boring to me.
It was.
It was kind of boring. And, I didn't think, I think the best part of Voyager for most young teenage boys like myself when it was out was fucking 7 of 9. God damn them titties.
Right. No, that's the way it was.
They brought her in the show for fucking sex appeal, and they know it. They fucking know it.
Yeah, and the thing is, that show was run by a feminist.
Yeah, but you can't break away from some of the classic cliches. Sex sells. I mean, that's just the way
Yeah,
it
sure,
is.
but Deep Space Nine was run by a non-feminist, and it didn't have any fucking 7 of 9.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, it just, like obviously, whatever feminist was like creating that show also still tried to make her, and she was a very strong female character. I mean, she had fucking, robot senses and
Fucking huge basongas.
yeah. But no one gave a shit. Like the only reason she defeated aliens in battle because they got distracted. She fucking come down the hallway and there's these Klingons and they're like chalk talk. Oh shit. Oh nice.
Oh, Jesus.
Holy shit. I'd bite into that, get lockjaw, and have her drag me to death.
Yep. That was weird because she actually said she was a feminist, and they created the most sexist show ever.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't. I would say that things have also changed. Obviously, when Voyager was made, once again, it was made before this really big mass movement of intersectional feminism.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that Deep Space Nine was made before.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just saying Voyager was still before all of this shit,
Yeah.
And so, like, maybe she was just a normal feminist that wasn't all like,
I suppose.
Maybe she was one of these sex posy babes who was like, yeah, why can't we have a hot chick? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's some feminists used to be like that. Feminism used to be all like, oh my God, we, having a sex positive, a woman that appreciates her form is not a bad thing. Now we live in an age where feminists are like, yeah, it's okay if you're 350 pounds, love who you are, and men should totally be attracted to that.
Right, right.
I don't care who the fuck you are. If you're not attracted to something, you're not attracted to something. And I hate people trying to force that, It's like, oh, you should totally love me because I love myself. No, because I pretty much hate everybody. Like, why do I got to treat you any fucking differently? Like, I am an equal opportunity asshole. Okay.
That's good. That's the way it should be.
But I have yet to see this new Star Trek, so I can't really judge it. Like, I've heard that it gets better after like episode 3 or whatever, but I don't have it on any of my channels. It's not on Netflix or Hulu or any of those yet. And so, like, outside of like, I don't know, finding some sort of streaming service or downloading it, and I really just haven't had the time.
Right. I haven't either, but I've seen up to episode 3, and it was like, okay, yeah. Basically, I think I probably have all the episodes, but it's just been like, nah, I don't feel like it.
Yeah. Now, somebody brought it up in the chat. The Orville to me feels more like Star Trek.
Oh yeah,
Star Trek. And I love that episode with fucking and because of Seth MacFarlane's connections in Hollywood, he's able to get some really awesome actors to cameo on his show, like the one episode with Charlize Theron. Like, holy shit, like, and it feels a little bit more like Star Trek in a way because it has the same like fade away cut scenes and stuff like that. Plays that dramatic music as it's dun dun dun, and then it fades out, commercial break. It just kind of has it has more comedy element, obviously, because it's Seth MacFarlane, but I do like it. I was thinking when I first watched it, I thought there would be a lot more like SJW leftist stuff, considering Seth MacFarlane's politics, but he is also anti-PC, and so maybe that kind of creates a balance.
Right.
Loved fucking Orville so far. And it's kind of getting exciting with how they're kind of taking it in a pretty interesting direction with like a war with the Kree and stuff like that, And I've just started watching this new one it's a sci-fi original, and I usually don't watch those because a lot of them are so cheesy. But I read really good reviews, and they were based on a series of novels, and it's called The Expanse. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen that.
I just started watching that. I'm on like the third episode, but it actually has more of a, I think, a grittier space vibe. Like it kind of feels like Alien to me, where like there's kind of like these giant corporate ships, and the different corporations own the ships, and they don't care about their employees. And like there's something interesting about it. And there's this whole like dynamic of politics between Mars and Earth and the Belters and stuff. And I think it's really interesting. Actually, I think it's done really well, and the practical effects are really well done too.
That was nice. I hope they make more of that.
Yeah, apparently the second season just come to an end, so it's not on Amazon just yet. But when it hits Amazon for my Prime account, I'll definitely watch the second season after I'm finished with the first.
Yeah,
that's really well done. We had last time we talked, we had a conversation about sci-fi as a genre in Hollywood, and I definitely feel like sci-fi gets a lot more attention these days, and I think it's because of the growth of technology, the ability to do CGI effects a lot cheaper as it goes along. Like we're starting to see in television CGI effects that would have been in movies 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So obviously movies have even better CGI, but we're starting to see just regular shows have some pretty awesome CGI. And like we were talking about when we first started the stream, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Ghost Rider was done really well. Like the CGI was fucking brilliant for him. I was expecting something a lot cheesier, but I actually was genuinely surprised at how they did the Ghost Rider.
Okay.
Even though that entire season ended up turning into, propaganda against Trump and the fascist regime that has taken over. Obviously America has concentration camps and stuff now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're just terrible people here, But I remember reading an article about this last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where it was like this last Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season where they get pulled into a computer program where Hydra won instead of S.H.I.E.L.D. and have taken over the world and hunting down Inhumans and stuff. And I remember reading this article. I can't remember what it's from, either Huffington Post or one of those like rags, and it was like, this is how we feel in Trump America every day.
Fuck off.
And it's like, really? Fucking really? Like, you literally, like, if you watch the season, it is like basically Nazi America. I mean, there's like surveillance drones flying around. There's like posters that say, if you see it, report it, call Hydra. Madam Hydra is like the military leader, basically the president. The news is all about just her, and Hydra, it's propaganda news. There's like people, like the police would randomly checkpoints, and you have to have your ID or you'll get arrested. They're pulling kids out of the classroom to go and brainwash them if they ask too many questions. This is what you think America is under Trump. Like, I don't much like the guy, but come on.
Yeah.
Seriously? If this is how you feel, you're a paranoid fuck. You really are.
Yep. Jesus Christ.
Now, I've heard about The Man in the High Castle. Skirk brought that up in the chat, but I have yet to watch it, so I can't comment on it. But
it's slow, but if you like slow, it's very good.
Yeah, but is it political propaganda? Are they trying to paint some sort of picture where like Trump is?
No, I don't think so. It's just sort of because it all takes place in the 60s or something. So
right, okay. So they're not trying. They're creating an alternate universe where the Nazis won instead of us.
Right.
Okay. Well, if that's the premise of the show, then that's the premise of the show. It doesn't. Obviously, they started that show before the Trump election, so how could it be about Trump?
Yeah, and it's based on a book by like Philip K. Dick or something, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up, but it sounds like something Philip K. Dick would write, definitely. There was actually a Philip K. Dick joke in an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I felt like I was one of those rare people that actually got the joke. They're dealing with these android replacements, right? Like this mad scientist dude got a hold of this magic book that gave him like knowledge of the universe. And so he was able to build this really realistic Matrix-like program that feels like the real world. And he was slowly kidnapping all the different agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and replacing them with perfect replica androids so nobody knew it. And these androids, when they finally discovered them, there's a scene where they bring Ada back and she's all like, like she's more human now or whatever, and or something. And she said something like, I imagine this or something. And somebody says, can androids imagine things? And Phil Coulson says, maybe they like dream electric sheep. And that was total Philip K. Dick joke, because the story of Blade Runner that inspired Blade Runner was, do androids dream of electric sheep?
Right.
And I felt like I was like one of the few people that got that. Like I was like they put a Philip K. Dick joke in the fucking a dick joke. Okay.
Right.
Now, what did surprise me, I like Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that it's an interesting new character, but he's not Johnny Blaze. And I felt like that was probably a good decision, try not to bring Johnny Blaze into it, because he is kind of the main Ghost Rider. And so but basically what they did is created this new kind of idea where the Ghost Rider could pass on the spirit of the spirit of vengeance onto other people. And so he's a Ghost Rider. He's not the Ghost Rider. He's not Johnny Blaze. But he's a good, solid character,
Right.
So I'm excited to see what they do, because I think the next season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is in space. I think it's a formation of S.W.O.R.D.
I don't know what that means.
It's from the comic books. How S.H.I.E.L.D. stands for something. It's like strategic homeland, whatever have you. There's also another branch off of that called S.W.O.R.D. And it's more of a less defensive, more offensive, protect the Earth from aliens and alien invasions and shit.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think we're going to end the stream right now because I'm fucking falling asleep here.
Yeah. We have been going for quite a while. I think the Philip K. Dick joke is a good way to end it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm starting to feel guilty because I'm not participating enough.
I get it, man. I get it. At least we're not going till like 6 a.m. like we usually do.
Yeah. Well,
probably for the best.
Probably, always leave them wanting more.
Exactly. But thanks for having me on your live stream channel, man. It's been a while since we've actually streamed public.
Indeed. Thank you very much for showing up. And thank you guys for listening and doing all the chat things and all that beautiful things.
Yes, wonderful.
So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time. Take care.